Red to start here once again this morning as we get going on a Tuesday morning, about 0.5% to the downside right now for the NASDAQ. We don't have much as far as economic data coming through at 8:30 this morning, but just keep an eye out around 10 o'clock. Richmond Fed Manufacturing Index will show up, -21 expected there. Richmond Fed Manufacturing Shipments Index, this again for October, is -18 expected on that one. Red Book year-over-year reading coming through at 8:55, a ton of Fed speakers to deal with once again this morning as well. So heads up right across the board for comments coming through this morning. DJT, a big mover here in the pre-market, 3+% on top of, 5% yesterday. So this thing just keeps going into the election 2 weeks out here as we start today. You were just saying, it's November 5th, and that's exactly 2 weeks away.
It's only up 145% in a month, but I know it's not a big deal. No, fantastic look, obviously, for DJT, another 5% yesterday. It wasn't really the big mover that we were expecting yesterday, at least on the midday show, but a good look nonetheless, obviously, based on the latest election predictions. The betting market's really taking the head with that one. But lots to talk about today, Brendo. Lots of earnings reports. GM absolutely killing it. We got GE as well as 3M. A lot of good looks.
Yeah, Bitcoin as well. A little bit of weakness coming through this morning for BTC. We'll touch on that. 70,000 still the big number to talk about, though. IBIT downside about 1% right now in the pre-market. Some of the other crypto-related stocks also under a little bit of pressure to get going here this morning. There's Coinbase, 2% to the downside. Mara, another one we touch on every now and then, 2% to the downside as well. Lots of little ones flying around here once again this morning. GNPX just popping up. I'll type that correctly this time. GNPX, not NGPX. This one had a big day yesterday, trying to make it 2 in a row here above $3. Yeah. 100% already here for GNPX. There's this Hyzon Motors. I remember the stock from back in COVID days, HYZN, I believe. It was a high flyer at one point. I'll double check on that, but another small cap runner this morning. So another day with a whole bunch of small caps flying around. Apple downside as well, guys. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Fix up our earpieces there. All we heard was like crazy amounts of. We were just hoping the stream didn't hear it. But
exactly, because it wasn't like static. It was like
good there.
It was a kind of weird psychedelic, loud noise.
So maybe it wasn't the problem.
No, it was something very psychedelic that you didn't want to hear in your ear. But the good news is, what you do want to hear in your ear is fresh all-time highs for Nvidia.
Yeah, yesterday, right?
Well, also too. It's actually trading. It was trading above the close high right now, so it's actually higher than its best close. You have gold continuing its breakout. You've had silver continuing its breakout. Basically, Bitcoin's not doing much of anything except for its pullback. We do get earnings after market tonight. Well, sorry, we do get some earnings after market tonight, but tomorrow's a bigger one with Tesla. 3M, if you're looking at what reported this morning, 3M up 5%. I mean, how many things are breaking out like all-time highs here? Here's yet another one on 3M. So, that'll be on watch. And then you had GM, which kind of beat. I say kind of beat, but they had a good quarter. But the 50, can you tell there's some selling at $50 on GM? Yeah, it just doesn't want to break through that price. But the only automaker that is challenging highs right now, and I say about the only automaker, it is the only automaker that's challenging highs right now. So it's all on your shoulders, General Motors. But if you're a chip name, you don't really have to worry about it because Nvidia's been trying to drag you to said upside. The only thing that'll take a smile off my face is somehow Jameson Williams has got suspended again. I don't even understand.
Dude, games, right?
Yeah, for PD usage. The guy's my size. Well, I guess maybe he's trying to come up in the world. I don't know.
Yeah, I would think so.
What's he doing?
Yeah, Nvidia's about to go red, maybe. The market right here on a little bit of a free fall right here. Last 10 minutes or so, we've lost about 40 handles. It's not a nothing move here right now. So not too many green candles as we come through, breaking now through VWAP. So I was thinking about the sticky note here. We are going to have Nvidia on it, but again, it's tough to pick which way we think this market's going to go right now. I mean, again, you're stuck right here in the middle again. You're at that 20,400, 20,500. Both those levels are right here. They haven't really meant that much. I mean, we've tried to break and hold above. We did it yesterday at the close. We had a nice run over that 20,500 by holding it basically here. Now you're underneath and you're trying to break maybe lower into 20,350 is right there. That could be a little bit of a level that we come into concern with if the market keeps on coming down, but that's only 100 handles from here. We could do that before the market opens. And then if that happens, then yeah, I guess we're looking at what I think is going to be the ultimate bottom at this 20,200. And I don't mean ultimate bottom as if we can't go lower, but that would be a spot there where I think we'd have to, really look at buying something at least for a swing trade. Depends on what time of day it happens here, but that's what I'm looking at, 20,000 there. And then again, 20,600 has been a good little top. I don't know if we break the market until we get some big tech earnings, but we'll have to wait to see. Right now, just kind of in between. Nice move off Amazon numbers, right? We saw that. Let's see if we can continue forward. I mean, tomorrow's Tesla, and Tesla's not a huge part of the NASDAQ or the S&P 500, but we'll still give some tech boost there if they can report a little bit better than expected. And then, of course, I was just saying, to Sharif, and Neil wasn't here, but like this Donald Trump stuff just keeps on amazing me. The sound bites that come from these guys.
Blam.
He's talking about Arnold Palmer. He's talking about this and that. This guy is pretty. I mean, I don't know, unfiltered, and it's
That's
working. And I don't know, it's not passing judgment. DJT's working. This is going up like the polls. We talked about that yesterday, and what he was looking like, and I have it actually up right here again on Bet365, and it's because DJT is going to be something, right? So there it is right there. You have to lay down $188 to get 100 back, right there for Donald J. Trump, while Kamala Harris, quite the opposite right there, giving you 150 on your $100 bet. And Vegas, there's also that online where you can gamble with it and invest there at Kalshi. So we've had Kalshi on here before as well. So yeah, lots of things. Oh no, it's the double shot. This is the worst. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so that's gonna be exciting. Anyways, DJT up here, up another 3.5% today. Funware.
Fun's flying, by the way.
Yeah, that's on people's minds as well.
15% for Funware.
Yeah, so
because
it'll be fun.
Why? It doesn't matter why. Apparently, it just wants $10 at this point on Fun. No, but these have squeeze potential, right? Like it's just like DJT's heavily shorted. And Funware's like 7% shorted. Although the days to cover, I feel like that number, is that right? 0.1 days to cover? Whatever. It's because the float is tiny on Fun after the reverse split. So they probably haven't adjusted the days to cover. But yeah, Funware has done 1 million shares. The float's now only like 11. And this is starting to go squeeze zone. $11. I mean, it's crazy to say, but it is what it is. Like it was a key 880 area that we're mentioning yesterday, 8.5 to 880, and it doesn't actually break out in yesterday's trade above that price, and now all of a sudden you're just going ham. I do think this one's probably gonna come in rather heavily. I would have thought that $11. And at Real Trading, free locates on this, despite the low float. We actually have free locates on Funware, believe it or not. But yeah, this should be a big one. Obviously, you have some of those nuclear names that were going the last couple of days that are still going to be in play. NNE dropped an offering, so we'll probably be talking about a few of them. SMR looks interesting off of support, and there's that Oklo, which is still moving around. So there's lots to look at, especially considering you get all-time highs out of Nvidia, and then you look over, and it's like a Funware type of day, and Nvidia is basically flat now. We'll see.
Just noticing Bitcoin was making a move back downside here. MSTR popped up on a volume scanner here. I was trying to find if there's anything going on, but you can see a big volume spike came in at the lows there, trying to get back above 215.50, 216. But yeah, Bitcoin downside this morning ever so slightly, 1.5% here for MicroStrategy, a little bit better than the rest, as we saw there when we came on, 2% plus for Coin, Mara, et cetera, at this point. 0.5%. Meanwhile, I mean, market coming off in a hurry here, 0.65 now for the NASDAQ, but a little bit of a pop there for MicroStrategy.
Yeah, we're already down, 1% or so here on IBIT, but the data that I was collecting this morning about Bitcoin was all really bullish. I mean, look at this. Record-breaking $2 billion in net inflows last week into the spot ETFs. Total assets under management now for these spot ETFs, $63 billion. Positive market sentiment probably as a result of the U.S. election. And Robinhood, Brendo, growing active user base, increasing their crypto trading on theirs as well. So interesting look, but down today.
Yeah, a lot of people watching this. I mean, top end of the range. I say we're down, but I mean it's a red candle on the daily chart. We'll call it that much. Trying to get back above yesterday's lows, but back below 68,000 once again here this morning, guys.
Yeah, and you know, this is sort of what happens when you hit a resistance spot.
67,000, Brendo. We just broke 67.
Uh-oh, dun, dun, dun.
What is happening?
But this has actually been the support level on recently on BTC here. It's actually under 67,000, like call it 66.7 to 66.8 the last few days, last week as well. So when you have a line like that in the sand, and again, it's the daily chart that's been a problem for, problem's like the wrong word when you're looking at a bullish setup like this. But yeah, you get descending highs here on BTC. We tagged another one on over the weekend, so we shouldn't be terribly surprised when you hit resistance that you're in a pullback. The real question is, well, what happens next? If you bounce off the first support right in here, 67, and then we actually get back to the high right away to retest it, I think that'd be incredibly bullish, and you're just looking for a big breakout to finally happen. But if this support goes, I mean, I don't see why you couldn't be pulling back into 62 or 60. That's what's been going on here in Bitcoin off of some of those highs. Now, if you're looking at IBIT, which I am, that 66, call it that 668 or whatever, 67 area, 38 bucks is the corresponding. So that's the support zone that needs to hold here on BTC. You know, if it bounces off of there today, then it's confirming the support that we've had since that test of the high. And if you're unable to do so, a 37.80 to me is it's not a flat bottom break per se, but it's easily a reversal. I think you can head down into the 37 land on IBIT. In terms of equity trading, I'd just really be looking at Mara, because I think when you look at that resistance at top on BTC, Mara's got 19 bucks. Bitcoin breaks that channel, Mara takes out this high, which is actually 19.10. If we don't, shorts into 19 for Mara. But always keep in mind, you want to be watching those spot prices.
Right here, just a quick look at some of the other coins that are moving around here a little bit as we go. So over the not much happening over the last hour or so, last 24 hours, you got Solana. That's the one I wanted to sort of highlight, up 9% right now. Continues to sort of get going here. This is a 1 month chart, looking like it wants to break through that 170 right here. You know, great recovery. We've been here before. If we go over to a yearly chart, we talked about, and we were just playing technicals here when we sold in and around 200 bucks. But it looks like, I got to get this notice off here. But it looks like we have a decent bottom here in around 150 to 130 at the bottom for Solana, as it looks like it wants to get going back there to the upside as well. And then, yeah, maybe it's a little altcoin season right here. Look what's happening to Dogecoin right there, up 24% last 7 days. I mean, we'll just wait. I feel like this happens. Sometimes you get money shifting out of BTC and into the other names, and it could be altcoin season a little bit. And we just indicated before about where these futures might be going here, 20,350. Well, that's what we just bounced off of right there. So I don't know if you guys were wanting to trade futures in the pre-market or anything like that, but that was a level that we had talked about here when we brought down the larger NQ spot, and that's where we just bounced off of. So far so good on that, but it's not looking good for potential hold. Big red candle for volume coming in there on the futures as well as we get going here. I don't know why I'm still on Funware. But anyways, yeah, I was just more looking at the futures and thinking, oh, another trade that I was looking at here too. We might not get to this in a minute. I know we have Money Mitch coming on pretty soon, which is going to be exciting for everybody. So that's good. Right here, 36.50 DraftKings looking like it wants to break a little bit lower, if not doing it already. We had indicated DraftKings was vulnerable here at 37. Looks like it's getting more and more closer to a shelf here as well. So DraftKings on watch as we go. So, all right, let's go back over to the desk.
GM here. There was some comments that came through from the CEO, specifically surrounding a focus on making EVs profitable. The company has conducted dealer outreach and training, noting strong EV interest among luxury buyers. Obviously, they're all $100,000, so I'm not sure anyone else would be affording them. But I mean, GM's positive, but kind of back and forth here so far. There's a few question marks around this report.
You mean you don't want one of those 5,000-pound Hummer EVs, Brendo?
Oh, they're a little more than that. I think it's like
no, right?
5,000 tons.
Yeah, I see them all around Toronto. There's quite a few of them. All right, let's talk about how they did, because they really killed it in North America, assuming it's probably on the back of truck sales. But they lost $137 million in China. Their international sales dropped 88.2%. I really don't understand how that's even possible. Down to $42 million. That's all they printed in terms of revenue, Brendo. In terms of adjusted earnings. That's not sales, that's earnings. $42 million is what they brought in. They continued to bleed money out of their Cruise, which is their autonomous vehicle division. And GM Financial declines about 7.3% as a result of the interest rates.
We were touching on the Silverado, the answer to the F-150 Lightning, the electric version of the Silverado, and the impressive range coming from that one alone. But yeah, company's still, quote unquote, focusing on making EVs profitable, guys. Still positive here, though, for GM.
Yeah, which is a feat because, you know, pull up a chart of any other EV name or any other car company. You can pull up Stellantis, you can pull up, I mean, even Tesla to an extent. Ford doesn't look very good. You're just distinctly different when it comes to GM. And kudos to them. I mean, I'm just going to pull up Ford for a comparison because that's the easiest one to make here. And Ford, I mean, it's been languishing underneath what was. It used to be like a really good level at $11. So like this is what used to happen on Ford at $11. Like you could buy at 11, you could hold and make 20-30% and get a dividend while it was just reloading off that. And now all of a sudden $11, which held for the greater part of 2 years, is now resistance on Ford. So there's one down, and then here's GM. It's not, you're not sitting at all-time highs or anything, but you are challenging a breakout above the $50 level. I think it needs to take 50.5 to prove that it can get through it. You had a test in the pre-market here. I don't know, the market's dragging you down. You like it if you get a better response to those earnings. But remember, with morning earnings, sometimes you got to let it settle down, let everyone matriculate through the call and all that nonsense. And then when we open up, we can see what's going on for real. Because early pre-market trading on light shares to fail $50, to me, it hasn't really failed $50 until it tries to trade there in the open market. And if you can break this one out, it's just long-standing resistance here on General Motors. And if we can grit through like 50.5, I think it's got room to run. But the thing about a breakout is if it doesn't go through, and breakouts happen at resistance levels. So, you know, there's no trade to take on a breakout if it can't get through that top, which just means you got to sit back and wait for it to eventually happen. I think it's going to happen eventually. Randy in the house.
Eventually, yeah, eventually this will happen. Yeah, no, I think it's a long. I think when you're just looking at the daily chart here, it's pretty obvious. You bounce off the 50 period, you bounce off the 200 period. It had a good report. It's up here now 1%. We'll see if it gets going. $50, $51 or so. One of the cheapest markets in the whole S&P, one of the cheapest stocks in the whole S&P 500 is General Motors. So right here, $50.50. I think it can get a lot higher than this. I feel like we break it and you go. So that's it. Take the long. I mean, that would be the play for me. I don't think you need to do anything else. You can wait for VWAP down here at 49, or you wait to see what happens once we open up. It doesn't look like we do have a big, hey, Randy, doesn't look like we have a very big imbalance here on GM this morning, so I don't even see it at all. So, yeah, we'll have to wait to see if there is a little bit more interest in this one. All right, it's guest time. It's Mitch time. He's ready. He's ready to rock and roll. It's another big guest. We've got Randy here. We've got Neil here. We've got the Bear. We've got the Bull. And we've got the desk.
There he is, Mitch H, back with us, analyst over at Trade the Pool. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, guys. It's good to be back with you guys in the home office and ready to get after it, talk some trade ideas, talk some market, and boy, oh boy, looks like things turned around since the extreme bullishness that we had for a little while there.
Yeah, we're coming off in a hurry right now, actually. Futures downside, continuing downside. I want to get your take on the small cap angle first, and then we can touch on some of the bigger names that we've been watching as well, because we've had this explosion once again of these little low float, high short percent
Definitely
type runners over the past.
wife was asking me, why is drug on your screen? I was like, wife, it's a biotech. Calm down. It's all right. No, and I've been seeing these take quick runs. One of the things is we trade everything. I trade everything under the sun. Doesn't really matter to me. What matters to me is what's hot. And what's hot right now is the penny names. And those come in and out of favor. But we first saw it with Verb, then it went into drug, then you saw multiple names, even holding companies like SRRK still holding up there. I did a monster swing short on that one, but I think that we got to keep looking at these as opportunities. They come in and out of favor, so as quickly as they come into favor, they could come right back out. And as the market goes, we know that a lot of times the small caps will come and follow. I think we just got a little bit of a moment here where the rate cuts is definitely helping that trade and will continue helping that trade. But be careful for quick sweeps on the downside.
Yeah, we were touching on the fact that some of the ones from yesterday that were up, 20, 30, 50% kind of thing, downside this morning. There's a whole new batch, GNPX, HYZN, SRM, TCBP, to name a few. Anything catching your eye in this world today?
That Horizon Motors is, of course, kind of more of that EV play, right? And so it's kind of interesting to see it pop up today with, of course, GM bringing their earnings out there. And I think that today you'll be looking at the auto manufacturers to see a little bit of a lift, right? And of course, the most important stock here is going to be Tesla. So watch that first, right? I know that GM will be the focus because it's on the earnings and people are looking at that right now. But if Tesla can really start rocking and rolling, then GM starts rocking and rolling, and it just trickles down to the smaller names. So that's what I'll be looking for out the gates. Can Tesla finally hold an hourly low and start working its way higher? I've been looking to see if that would happen. Of course, there was even negative notes on Tesla this morning. That's perfect time for the traders to come in and start the sweep back up.
Sharif and I were just touching on the fact that Verizon out with earnings this morning, their earnings call coming up at 9 o'clock this morning. It seems to be maybe the reason we're seeing a little bit of weakness in Apple this morning. Continuing session lows right now, essentially down more than a full percent here. What are you thinking about Apple?
Apple's trying to make that new high, right? I think everyone was trying to play that play yesterday, right? And I think it just ran into the wall, right? And I think this is more about to do with the overall market than Apple, right? I think people want Apple. The only question is, will the overall market kind of play with this, right? Of course, Nvidia and Apple are the two main names in the big boys that we can continue looking for strength. But of course, if the overall market is just going to dump on it, well, here you guys see it. But I think Apple wants that new high. I think it wants to start going. And of course, it just started playing into kind of the AI play, right, with Apple Intelligence. So I'd keep an eye out on this and look for bigger pullbacks to kind of catch a little bit of a pullback and look for that new high to come into play.
Yeah, we'll see what Verizon CEO has to say in the call coming up here. There was hints at, maybe demand coming off as far as their device sales in the U.S. is concerned, so maybe a little bit of weakness coming through there. I saw you had BABA on your screen there. Some of the Chinese ADRs downside this morning. Right across the board, really. Li Auto, the only one I see, LI, higher right now.
I like these plays, actually. I know that a lot of people are looking at these plays as negative now because they see the quick pullbacks, but just look how quickly they went up. It's as quickly as they come down, right? So I'm looking between the 50% and the 61.8% retracement of BABA. That puts it between 100 and 96. Somewhere in between there is kind of more of that sweet spot that I'm looking for. Of course, we need a good tech day. So, of course, if we continue to see downside, I think BABA gets closer to that $96. But I'm watching this trade, and I think it's definitely a trade that traders got to keep an eye out for, because I feel that China will have an outperformance of the U.S. markets in 2025. So if I'm looking for opportunities, I think it's in China.
It's an interesting time here with, we were touching on the fact that we're 2 weeks out, just from a macro standpoint or higher view standpoint, 2 weeks out from the U.S. election here, everyone kind of in a wait and see mode going into that. The market chopping around here a little bit. Some of these big tech names chopping around a bit. Just from a general perspective, do you change the way you approach an intraday trade or maybe a 2 or 3 day trade in a market environment like this overall?
1000%. And that's, I think, what October is all about, right? The quick swings of momentum from bullish to bearishness. We've seen it in both sides of the market right now. I think what you need to be looking for is specifically, like, let's say, is a Trump trade gone really far, maybe too far, and will start playing back a little bit? Or maybe a Harris play has gone too far and can start playing back. Like one of those plays is the nuclear play. I'm sure you guys have seen SMR and NNE. I think this is really good if Trump wins. But if Harris wins, then it comes back down. But since they've run so far ahead of the elections, I'd be looking at these to start playing a little bit of some pullback. If anything, maybe shorting it into that and then trying to catch the long right back into these plays, especially if Trump wins.
We'll keep an eye out for thematic type ideas going into the next couple of weeks here. Great stuff.
Definitely.
Mitch, anything else on your radar here this morning?
Yeah, I'd be keeping an eye out on the financials. Last time I was on, last Tuesday, right, I talked about a potential top in the financials coming in with the earnings. That was a great look on Goldman Sachs. I'll keep watching that trade. Now I'm looking at Wells Fargo because it's still up on the top end of the range. You're starting to see the financials crack. And if we are going to go to a little bit of an uncertainty here before the election and markets are going to come down, I'll be looking for the financials to start breaking. As of course, in a rate cutting environment, we could see that impact margins.
Great stuff. Best of luck on a Tuesday here, Mitch. We'll catch you again soon.
Of course, catch us out. Trade the pool, guys. Come and trade the pool. The only question is, who's getting out of the pool today? That's really the question.
The water's still warm, right?
Well, hopefully, man. Right now, it seems like there's some cool waters out there. I'll be watching the VXX. Do we get a volatility spike? I don't know.
Thanks, Mitch.
Shout out to Mitch. Thank you very much, Mitch. Well, what he said about WFC and the bank seems like it's happening. We always talk about rounded bottoms for things to go up. WFC's making a rounded top. Maybe they want to jump out of that pool as we speak. But look, that's what happens when you get to some big highs in there. And that's a great look. Just pointing out like WFC. A lot of people, not everyone's going to be day trading things like this. But look, that is a clear rounded top. Now all of a sudden that prior high 64. Like, is it due? Is it due for a little bit of a pullback? I say when you're in a bull market, it gives you opportunities to pull back into prior highs. So that sits at about like $62. So, I mean, why not? WC down 1%. But the market actually catching a little bit of a bounce here. The NASDAQ did bounce over off of or in front of yesterday's lows. I shouldn't say at yesterday's lows, didn't quite get there. So for now, Monday's lows have held. But, Don, just because they bounced once doesn't mean they will bounce again. Lots of Nvidia didn't come to a key price level for a bounce. Apple didn't come to a key price level for a bounce. Tesla, none of those things got to key price levels, even if the futures might have.
Didn't get got. Yeah, shout out to Mitch. I like the hat. I like the hat right there. Thank you to Trade the Pool again for their continued support here of Trader TV Live. But yeah, I actually just wrote down Apple here. I think 233 is for me a good enough level of support, just because I know Mitch was talking about it there. It doesn't look like it's crazy. This is a 1 minute. Oops, I have the wrong chart up. I need this one here, the 20-minute chart. It's basically where we started yesterday. We had a nice move to the upside there. We've held it the last couple times we were high. And then once we broke, we went down into the 30s and this time into 31. I don't know if the market is that weak today to do that kind of a push. So I want to try to buy this on, and it's right here. The sticky note is now out. It is going to be back into 233. So this is a level for me right here for Apple. So this is the name that I'm dip buying right here. This could be the trade of the day, Apple. Let's rewind this. It's 8:58. Let's see what happens later on. But I think that's going to be a trade that we can put on with some confidence down there. Apple, 233 long.
We're going to take a look here at the upgrades and downgrades. Solar and watch in general today with Enphase reporting after the bell. But first, Solar this morning up about 1 2/3% with this Citigroup upgrade. We're going to see initiating coverage on quite a few names in this retail and wholesale space, including Costco and Walmart, both slightly to the upside as of right now. We also have Loop Capital giving AAPL an upgrade. On the downgrade side, another solar-related play here with a Citigroup rating. This time, Citigroup downgrading Canadian Solar, which is down about 4.5% right now. Global Payments getting a downgrade from Bernstein. Duke Energy getting a downgrade from KeyBank Capital Management. And last but not least, Hershey getting a downgrade from Atlantic. Quite a few names to talk about today, guys.
Oh, I like me some chocolate, but no. Costco's the one that, Costco's the one that's an absolute beast on that list. No question about it. And we always talk about, do you get these opportunities? Do you get these opportunities on dips? Or sorry, do you take these opportunities on dips when they eventually come on quality names? Now, Costco has been riding, and a few stocks have done this. Microsoft's kind of doing it right now. Like, it's riding the 50 period. It's bounced there before, but it's just ride. And if it can't make this top break, look, I'm never a person, I'm not cheering for the stock to go down, but if it loses the 50 period, come on. It's an auto buy at 800 in front of that 200 period moving average. But as long as it hugs here, there's essentially nothing to do with Costco when it's accumulating at that 50 period. You're just waiting for it to break away. Once it breaks away, I think it needs to get through like 895 or so to really break away. And then I think you see a fresh high. But, it is what it is. Like, an upgrade doesn't seem to be mattering here at all. It's actually down 0.2%. So it's really just about the consolidation happening. You can see what's going on in the daily chart there. If it breaks lower, auto buy at the 200 period. I just think once it gets out of this hold of the 50 period, you got to wait for it to happen, like 895 goes, and then all of a sudden Costco is going to make another run. But yeah, not even getting any kind of a bounce on an upgrade. Probably just because the market's looking relatively weak right now. But yeah, that'll get going again. But you got to take those opportunities. Last time that was at 800, you see how quickly it bounces away.
Yeah. If Costco goes down 10% from here, yeah, you got to buy that for sure. But we were at Costco last night. So after hockey, we went there. We grabbed their little, you have to make it at home, their little chicken taco thing. It was absolutely fantastic. All of our kids love that stuff. So, but anyways, underneath the 50 period moving average right now, it's not a buy here. You got to let it, it's in the penalty box until it's proven innocent. It has to get above 900, I think, if you're going to try to play any sort of dip buy opportunities there. And then the 200 period a lot lower. But out of all those names, I think Costco is definitely one to have a quick look at. And then I saw Walmart on there, I believe, as well. I still like this stock. $80 seems to be some kind of a, magnet here. It doesn't really want to get too far away from it. 79 is the bottom, and 81.50, maybe 82 has been the top. So, Costco, Walmart here in a 2-month sort of haze where it's trying to get between the $78 and $82. You are definitely looking for a big break, though, on this one, man. If this breaks 82, actually, this is on radar now. $82. I really, really like that one right there. So that's a good possibility there for a breakthrough. $82 on Walmart. I like that play, boys.
Good here for a Tuesday. We're still holding top end of the range, but teetering, I guess, at this point.
Yeah, and we keep fighting with that 5,900 point area on the ES December contract, and we closed 4 points below it, Fabian. 58.96 was the level we closed out. The overnight high, surprise, surprise, 5,900. But as you can see, we're kind of stuck in this range from back in the 14th with 58.60 as the low, and then that 59, say 10 as the high. So we'll see if number one, if we continue to move down, do we bounce off that 50, 60 point area? If we continue up, we're looking at 5,900 as resistance.
If you haven't done so yet, make sure you take advantage of an absolutely free resource. Go down to the description of this video right now. There's a link for the watch list. All you need is an email address, and you'll get that sent to you every single day for absolutely nothing. Has everything you need to know on it every day in the pre-market. Day highs right now for DJT are just coming off a little bit here from day highs. 3.3% here on top of 5.5% yesterday. There was rumblings of this floating around the past couple of days, but really the only headline, True Social announcing this Truth Plus streaming on Android TV and Apple as well. Going back to, I guess it was pre-market yesterday. I saw that for the first time, but doesn't even need a headline at this point.
Not really, Brendo. It doesn't really need it. Since September 24th, we've been really making gains here. As you can see on this chart, it has been a very upward trajectory-like look. Another 3.5 points, as Brendo mentioned. 5.8% yesterday. The stock is up 145% in the last 30 days. We'll have to see how this one performs today, Brendo.
Yeah, very active already, guys, here in the pre-market once again today for this one.
It's active. Fund's moving a little bit more. And I feel like, fund was up 15% last I checked, but I think that might be just as tradable if you're looking for something that could go explosive. I just threw in, on the daily, you can see, since it picked up volume, it's got this pretty interesting trend, which is forming into a bit of a double top in here. So holding on to the trend even after that pullback. This is all going to line up to get to 35. If it fails 35 and closes under the trend line, I think that's a pullback day on DJT, but the 35 is sitting right up there. It's actually 34.5 or so. That is that local high, but I think that's where you're headed as long as this trend line can hold on. And it's a daily chart trend line, so I wouldn't look reverse on that until you actually close underneath it. But there's that double top in there on DJT. If it breaks, it breaks. But as I said, I mean, Funware has done good volume as well. And if you look at the moves, like this one's a little bit more volatile. Now, I tend to think on any pullback in DJT, Fun is probably going to give it up right quick. And we have free locates on this. So that automatically, this is the one that I want to look for any shorts on. Just because A, it's going to be free, and then B, there isn't as good of a reason why it would be going up in the first place. It was just $3 a week and a half or a couple of weeks ago. It's getting really close to some big resistance on the daily if it breaks $10. So that 35 on DJT, if it can't break out that top and we fail it, I want to be sliding right over at Funware at that moment. So either DJT breaks out that local high in the daily, or I'm looking for the fade on Funware at that same moment.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, I saw that headline. We were just talking about Costco there. Peloton going to offer, it's nothing. It's just their Peloton Plus membership is going to be $17.99 at Costco as opposed to $24.99 if you get it there. So yeah, quite a good savings there, about 40% off or so. So good move for Peloton for sure, but not kind of a no-brainer there. But it was just on the screen there for 1 second. So look, I mean, DJT, I think. We already talked about where the odds were. I mean, I've refreshed it. I'll keep on looking. I mean, there's going to be better sites. I got to get that Kalshi number going there so you can see with volume. But still that minus 188. Now, I don't know. I don't know why that keeps on just refreshing like that. We'll figure that out. But for right now, it looks like Donald Trump is well in the lead according to the polls. So we'll have to just wait to see. And the betting markets, we'll just have to wait to see if that matters in the stock. I mean, I think it does, right? I mean, if he loses, then the stock is basically zero value, I would think, or close enough to it. Maybe bought out. I don't know at what price. So we'll have to wait to see. Just because I assume it has some sort of.
Does it though?
I think it does. I think it has some kind of a name recognition at this point. But right there, $33 looks like a breakout long to me, and you're right there right now. So I think that this is a long break. I did not pay for shorts. I do not want to short this name, but I think if you're going to trade it, you should be paying for some shorts. So that's something that, again, go in there, find if your broker does have shortable shares for this name. But yeah, do not fight the trend is my opinion here. We made money. It was one of the only a few profitable names yesterday, and it was because we traded it early. And we had this break of 31 actually right here. So we were waiting for 31 to break. It broke. We had it. We got out at the top. And then it turned out to be basically the top as that's where we closed. So I think if you're going to trade something like a breakout, then you're going to want to do something similar because the top has been $34. So if you're going to break out 32 or 32.50 right here, then I like that trade. I think that's the right trade. But if you're going to look again at the daily, that top is 34 running into potential problems here at 36 to 38. So that's all. I mean, you have to like the long. You have to like the direction that I guess the campaign is going. I don't know. I mean, we're just looking at the odds. And right now, DJT is definitely representing, you see the last 2 weeks, $12 to $33. So yeah, right now the financial markets are speaking. We'll see what happens on November 5th. But right now, DJT definitely along, in my opinion, until we get to that mid-30 level.
Evan, peace. Let's touch on Bitcoin here. We're trying to bounce, actually, I was just noticing on BTC itself, but some of these stocks, not so much, being swayed by the overall market a little bit here. Coinbase downside, I mean, there's not much as far as individual headlines, a few minor ones yesterday in this space, but the weakness continuing here, day two for some of the stocks.
Yeah, I couldn't really find anything specific today for Bitcoin, just specifically with the net inflows that we got last week. As I mentioned at the top of the show, record-breaking $2 billion net inflows into these spot ETFs last week, with now $63 billion assets under management for those spot ETFs. A lot of it being driven by the possibility of Donald Trump winning the election. We'll have to obviously see how that does. Sean was showing you guys there the odds we'll keep track on that.
Yeah, IBIT coming back into session lows here as well, back to 38, guys. Where is the trade today?
Bitcoin's at 70. It's that Bitcoin is lost the chance to break that 70, at least in the short term. So, right now you're back at, I guess, key support. So we've already shown this a few times, but there's your trend line. There's your failed breakout above, never gets through 70. Now you pull back in here on BTC. So let's just slap a 3-minute so you guys can look at it here. Underneath 67, you've got like 66.8 as local support. 15 will show this a little bit better. So you've been bouncing several times off this area just underneath 67, like 66.8 in there. And even if I go to like an hour chart, then you can sort of see this has been the zone. So if we lose this bid, you've got a little bit of a drop in coming to that 65 area. And then from there, like 62 is the next key. I already mentioned, Mara, with us not breaking out, Mara 19 resistance is a short trade for me. And then IBIT, I think today is in play. The corresponding support level is about $38 on IBIT here. So call it like 37.9 was the bottom of support, and then 38 is what's been holding. Underneath 37.9, I think you're going to start to gap fill some of this gap back into 37. But 38 support until it's not. Off the open, we've seen this before where you have like an immediate move reversal on BTC, like you get a drop and then a pop, or you'll get like a big reversion. So if it breaks 38 to the downside, doesn't really get through that 37.9 and comes back up, to me that's just one of those like quick, okay, you've held 37.9, go in long at 01s or something and play along. But if we lose 37.9, that's a flat bottom break here for me, that support on Bitcoin. I think you're ultimately going to break out the top of that channel, but until it does, resistance is what it is.
Mr. Westermeyer wants a bag, so I promised it to you. There it is for GNPX, and he gives credit to the watch list. So thank you to Adara and everybody for putting together, Sharif, Brendo, everybody for putting together the watch list there, Neil, whoever does it. Thank you so much for that. All right, Mara right here. Look, 19. Yeah, I feel like just because of what the market's doing, I prefer the long. We're above the 50-period moving average. The 50-period moving average is sloping upwards. I really think this name can go absolutely insane and will probably do that once crypto starts to go finally. But right now, as we just talked about it, there are some levels here that need to get, bounce, need to hold, quite frankly. I wonder if crypto is going back down to that $54,000 to $58,000 level if the NASDAQ pulls back. I mean, I think the NASDAQ's fine. We'll have to see about earnings season. But for me anyways, Mara underneath the 200 period, I think it's a short until Bitcoin gets back to that 68 and looks like it wants to run at 70 again. So for me, this is a short right now. I'd love to pick something up down here at 15 if we're lucky enough to get that. So I'm thinking about putting, I will go put a bid down here into just sort of the tax-free account. See if we can get some longs down here for Mara and buy that. I mean, we haven't broke through Mara here $15 since December. We broke on 1350 there, but barely. Again, these levels have been really, really nice. So I think that there's something there, and right now it's just kind of in its haze again. I've used that word a couple times with Walmart and now with Mara, but let's see if Bitcoin can go. Right now it's holding 67. If we can get back above 68, then I think we can get a short opportunity here at 19, and then we can see where we go from there. But yeah, I really like Mara long, actually. I would rather have it a little bit lower than where we are now.
Still seeing some comments coming through here from the GM call. We'll talk about that in a second. I was just watching TSM. Just keep an eye out for TSM. There was a note that came through from a Red Box Global, I'm not sure what that is, a wire service, saying that TSMC says it alerted us to potential violation of China AI chip controls. That's from Financial Times. So TSM downside anyways here to start things off this morning. GM, meanwhile, back to session highs here. The CFO, latest comment here, 15 minutes ago or so. CFO saying the company found some quality issues in prior model years, but fixed production lines. They're also putting more emphasis on the EV side of things, getting it profitable. Join the club, I guess, for GM. But I mean, kind of a back and forth morning here so far.
Hey, Clay, yeah, you're absolutely right, but it claimed $50. Let's talk about how they did, because we decided beat on both the top and bottom line. Revenue, $48.75 billion. The street was looking for 44.5, so that's a big beat there. Earnings per share, $2.96 instead of $2.43. That's a good look as well, but it was really North American operations that kept things afloat. They did quite well, 9.7% profit margin on their sales for North American delivered vehicles, but it was a China operations with about $137 million loss, as well as the international market, Brendo, 88.2% drop in their adjusted earnings. But they did raise full year guidance, $14 to $15 billion is what they're looking for.
Yeah, back about $50 here and trying to hold, guys, so far for GM. Not a heck of a lot of volume behind this so far, though.
Yeah, well, for GM, it's pretty solid, I'd say. These pre-market earnings are always a little bit, they're going to be tricky. That's why when you look at the absolute mess of the pre-market on one of these, look, it's all over the place. It broke 50, it failed, it got all the way down to 48.5. Now you're back above the 50 level. I think it's a little more clean if it takes out $50.5. And once you get up there, I really just want to, just tweeting it out too, I really only want to be looking for the long up here. Obviously you can fail a top break and you could get a pullback day, but there's very little in the auto space that's doing as well as GM. And so over this 50 level, and pretty much if you go back to these prior highs like 49.80 or so, as long as it can hold on to those, I think bouncing off those levels and bouncing off 50 is the way to go. But if it's failing 49.75 and we're in the mid 49s, just back off, because at that point, that's a bit of a rejection of that top break. So I really just want it on strength over the highs and let it open up. I mean, anything that reports in the pre-market, in a general sense, I pretty much never want to trade it until the market opens because you're going to have some crazy action. Like I wouldn't be surprised if the first thing that happens in a couple of minutes or going into the open is it immediately flashes back down to 49, and you got to let the sucker calm down a little bit. So that's the thing with pre-market earnings. You have to give the stock some time to settle itself down, especially when you just had the earnings call. But really only looking longs over this massive wall of resistance on the daily that we've all seen.
Look, when we were down here, we talked about this being a long. Now it's up here. So, I mean, you have to, like Neil said, it's a pre-market earnings play. So, got to be patient with it. The good thing is it showed us where the bottom potentially was there at 48.50. So at least we got a little bit of a look down here where we could go. Now I just think that you're trying to break, and it looks like you are going to break. So through 51 is what's going to happen next. So that's going to be a break level. I think you want to go long through there. We are still waiting for the sum and balance information to come out on GM. It's live. I mean, these are live imbalances, and I don't see anything here. I mean, this size is pretty putrid. 160, like no big names on here. So for me, I'm not looking at Ford. I'm not looking anywhere else. I'm just looking at GM, and I think you got to take that 51 break. I mean, play the momentum to the upside. General Motors today for the win. It's one of the cheapest names in the S&P 500, and will continue to be so until it breaks through and gets to that $55, $56 level. I think it has 10% in it. So I like GM from here. Wouldn't be surprised if we're at 55 by end of next week. Maybe that's a great return. 10% in a couple weeks. I think GM could go, but it's failed before. Let's just break that level. It has to break 51 first. If it does, then I think we see 55 in the next couple days.
All right, Nvidia did get to all-time highs right at the close yesterday. I mean, it was pretty much all day, but set a new one into the close yesterday. This huge move, this was all aftermarket as well. We get to 144 and change, a little bit of a pullback, but still, we're well above the close here, heading towards the open this morning.
Yeah, I've really got nothing to say about this other than the fact that it's a blue sky setup. I mean, we were looking at this one breaking through the highs yesterday on the How to Trade Midday show. I'll be possibly looking for a 140 dip to take this if the market continues to sell off. We know that we were rejecting 140 for a period of days. If it wants to come back and test that support, that'd be interesting.
Just keeping my eye on TSMC again. No other comments on that. It was definitely weak in the pre-market here this morning, but if you missed that, there was a possible China violation, AI chip violation, reported by the company itself there, but below $200 here for TSM this morning.
All right, so yesterday, yeah, no, that's an interesting thing. I mean, Nvidia's now down to 143. It was pushing that 144 high. Look, here's yesterday's sticky note, right? 140 long. Here's what we did, 140 long, 140 long. There's the out that Brendan was talking about, in and around that 144, 143.50, 142.50, and then this is earlier, we get going up to the end of the day into $4 winner there yesterday for this. So yeah, it's back on the sticky note today, as we say. Good luck. Right there. Look, I'm waiting for a dip right here. We put this out, like I said, about a half hour, 45 minutes ago. I like the Nvidia play that could come through here. I just said, let's wait for 140.50, and I'll show that in a minute. Keep it simple. If no dip buy, then we'll have to act off VWAP. But yesterday, again, the biggest trade wasn't even close. And it was just the breakout, right? So there's the move up. We had to wait for it once it broke that 140. So we didn't have to wait too long, right? I mean, it was 4 or 5 minutes, and we went up $3 almost in a straight, not almost, in a straight line. And then once we broke it, it was rocket boosters. And then it came back in and gave us another opportunity. So we went long once here, twice there, 3 times. So we had this trade 3 times there, and then we closed it right there at 142.50, and there's that run up on a sell imbalance, by the way, for Nvidia. So right there, 142.50, that's where we wind up getting out yesterday. Why 140.50? Well, I mean, look, 140 would be great. Obviously, I mean, we'll be loaded up by the time it gets down here, if it does. But I just thought that there was some sort of consolidation down here in and around 140.50. So again, I'm going to be on this name today. Obviously, I think it's been probably my P&L number 1 since it's split, and we talked about that. That we like that kind of action, waiting for Netflix. Well, not Netflix won't be as exciting as this. But anyways, 140.50. It's on the sticky note, so we'll be here to trade it.
Yeah, that was the imbalance. It actually did flip to a buy within a minute or a couple of minutes of that imbalance. But a lot of times when you have a move like this on the imbalance, I'm not looking at closed where it closed, but a lot of times I look at like the closed reference price, like where it was consolidating at the end of the day, like that 142 area, and I'm looking for that as like the first key dip zone. I think you can come in there. Like it's already turned red. The market's slightly red as well. There is some weakness. But yeah, I'm looking where we're sort of settling down in the afternoon as the first support level to look for. But like yesterday, it's got to be a setup, not catching a falling knife when going dip buy hunting like this dip buy. Show the wick, show the hold, show the push. Like that's the idea of getting in. And then AMD today, I know we're obviously down now, but the AMD bounced off the 50-period moving average yesterday. So you've already done that. And then you've got this 158.5 level where we tagged yesterday, right at the end of the day, it was able to get up there. So AMD, obviously the 50 period sits at 155, it's 154. We already mentioned that yesterday, no need to repeat ourselves. But breakout, if this can hold above 158.50 yesterday, bounces on Nvidia and any strength in the market, and AMD's got room to rally over that 158.50 because it hasn't been going that far.
Apple downside, as we mentioned early on this morning, coming back into session lows right now. Again, nothing really significant on this. There was a note in regards to the Verizon report that came out this morning suggesting that demand for handset sales was lower than expected. 1% here right now, but trying to hold 234 for Apple today.
Yeah, the Verizon issue should be interesting because we heard from the T-Mobile CEO a few months, or not even a few months ago, maybe a month ago, saying that demand for the iPhone 16, from his end anyway, was solid. So this is a different carrier now that we have to take account of. We'll wait until the information from the call comes up, but the call did start at 9 o'clock for Verizon. They're already down 3.5%. So let's see how they do.
Yeah, I mean, 2 days in a row here, we've held these levels, though, for Apple. Guys, what are we thinking?
I mean, I have Apple written down here on the note at 233. So I've sort of looked at that when we had Mitch on there. And I like this level. So if it comes back in here, we've always been waiting for this sort of handset number. We'll see what winds up happening with the iPhone. I mean, you're at all-time highs right now, so no surprise why you're getting the fade off of these levels. But, dip buying some opportunity, I think, is there, right? And it's down 1%, which is down more than the market right now. So it is sort of counter what I normally do, but I think it's worth a shot down here at 233. So for me, Apple, I don't want to miss it. So I'm sitting here to buy any kind of dip right now. We're going to be a minute away from those imbalances, and when they come out, we'll be able to figure out what to do here with Apple. But again, been a pretty good one momentum-wise. This is VWAP yesterday, hold all the way through, right? And so now today we come in underneath it. So it is giving me a little bit of a pause for concern. I'm not trying to fight the market or go against names, but for right now, I still like the story here for Apple. I think like a really good buy spot. I mean, obviously we talk about the 50 period on all these big names, so I like it down there. But you know, the market could be a little saturated right now. I mean, you know, all-time highs in the S&P and the diamonds and the Dow Jones, that's all been made, and now we're pulling back from there from yesterday. So I'm a little bit bearish on the market as a whole, but Apple, for some reason, I like that 233, and I want to give it a stab.
Ooh, stab. Sometimes you gotta, like, great minds think alike. I'm open-minded to the notion that we could get to the high again, because when I was tweeting this morning, it's like you don't necessarily know how far the market's gonna drop. We know the 237.5 has been a top up there, and then 237 yesterday. I don't want to tempt fate, but we'll just show you the chart. There's your top at the 237. And if you look, I like close prices. Close prices matter. Friday's close of 235 gives me like an over-under. Like, if we're underneath 235, the play is back into 33. That's a support to resistance level. 33 goes down, I think you're headed to 230 even or so. So if we're breaking higher and we get an inside day, yeah, like I wouldn't mind be shorting that top of the zone, but 233 is your support zone on Apple. And if you look at what's been going on outside of that here for Apple, you know, it's a consolidation off the highs until proven otherwise. Like, it's been on a pretty steady upward trend. Like, if I were to connect that for you, like, you're on a pretty steady upward trend, and this could easily pull back. I mean, the 50 period is going to do the job as well, but that 230 is going to line up for support. I think on the way down, you're going to have support levels. It's just that simple, but it's making higher lows into that top break. This is not that dissimilar from, you know, Bitcoin pulls back off an all-time high, and eventually it'll go. Nvidia pulled back off an all-time high, and then it went like 2 days later. I think that's the phase we're in for Apple. So, you know, first stop is 33, which is going to come in quick. But as long as it's holding these trends, I want to look for the bounce zones at each one of these levels. 30 would be the Alamo, because I think that's really the bottom of the trend line. Sharif, what is the lesson for today, my friend?
Great question, Neil. We're talking about island gaps. We're going to continue that gap talk that we started last week. We'll continue into it with a few more. So catch that with Joe and I on How to Trade at 11.
Everything I read with the island gap. I'm loving that one because it's, you know, when it gets colder around here, I get those island feels. Although it's so nice over the weekend, I'm not hating whatsoever. Actually, it's a pretty nice day today. Although it's about to
get nice day. It's one of the most gorgeous days I think
but overnight
in history.
Overnight it's gonna get cool. So we have to enjoy it while we can. I think we get one more day of like 24, 25 degrees here, and then it's gonna go right back to normal.
Like, it's 80 degrees here today, and it's October the 22nd.
Gorgeous, and it was better over the weekend. There was the only other thing I want to get to. Amazon might, because the market's weak, Amazon has a chance to get into that buy zone again. So down, there we go, down in front of 186. Like, the last 3 sessions, you've essentially wicked it at the open, where you dip down in. Yesterday didn't quite get to 186, like 186.4, there's 186.25, there's 186 even. It's basically higher lows, but at the open, it's been making some kind of a dip every single day that ends up being low of the day, with the exception of the 16th. So almost every day, that's what I want to be looking for here on Amazon as well. With only 2 minutes to go, it was silver. Silver and gold have been breaking out. Silver had a pullback day. I like silver back into SLV. I like back into 31 as well. So the afternoon highs and the close here on SLV on any dip, I like it for some continued strength. The story being that it broke out on the daily chart. Gold has already been breaking out. Silver joining the party just recently. So we got on watch, you know, Funware, DJT. I like the metals in there. We'll be watching some IBIT. Obviously, Nvidia is going to be another big topic, as it's continuing to head down here, only a couple of minutes. So it's going to test that prior, I guess we'll call it the imbalance prior level of 142. Speaking of those imbalances, I just realized I didn't have mine sorted. Nothing really. I mean, Verizon's a small one, and then BIL. There's nothing big on the imbalance locator in here, ETH, BTC. But NEO for 170,000. Doesn't look like the imbalances are telling much of a story, but the market has been pulling back without it.
Yep, exactly. So we'll have to wait for Apple, wait for some Nvidia. I mean, we didn't get to Sofi yet. I mean, I have Sofi as a number 2 idea today, breaking through this 1055 area. We'll see if there is any action up there right now. Sofi down with the market. You know, again, we'd rather have this market up in order to play some of these longs. Apple does dip in. I mean, we really like this name. We've talked about this a little bit here today. It just came in into that 233 area. So 233.40 was the bottom there with a nice bounce up to 233.80s or so trying to go. Amazon has a nice little top as well. That could be broken up here at 191, but that still has a minute to go. Not a minute, but more than a minute here as the market's about to open in 10 seconds. But Amazon's going to be on watch as well. All right, 3, 2, and 1. Thank you, Adara, ringing that bell. And there we go. The bell is now open. And let's wait to see what winds up happening now. So I'll be on Apple first and then Amazon second, as there goes Apple breaking back higher now through 234 as we go. Nvidia 142.85. Google going as well. All the names trying to do a little bit of a dip dive here, but there it goes right into VWAP. We'll wait. I did like TQQ possibly for a short around 74.50 is what we wrote down on here, sort of yesterday's afternoon high area. 74.50 for the NASDAQ if we can get to that level.
Yeah, so right, I mean, Amazon doesn't even check that bottom yet, but it's still pretty early. You've only gotten like 30 seconds into the market open. So it's gone like a dollar range on it. I do see Nvidia's still falling. Tesla's down 1% and just cracked 216.5. So that's starting to head into the downside as well. General Motors, GM just tagged almost $51, $50.90 something, as that's absolutely churning. There's a wall at 51 on GM. I just saw about 100,000 shares in there, bounced right off that 50. So let's see if it can hold on to that 50 half zone on the way back in. So it doesn't look like Amazon yet wants to head to that bottom, which it's done almost every single day. So we'll got to put on your patient hat here, I think, as some of these are trying to settle down off of the open.
Oh man, that's hilarious. I was waiting at 11s. Apple goes to 15s right there. So again, nice idea trying to dip by some Apple there, but it looks like we'll have to get a little bit. I'll put something in the 20s just because it's coming back in here right now. See if we can, oh my God, I was at 22. All right, I'm just gonna take okay, we got it anyways, okay. There it comes, so here comes Apple right into that level that we talked about, into 233. So we're long right now, 233.20s. We'll take something out for 30 cents, why not? If we're able to get that, and then we'll put another offer up a little bit higher than that and see if we can't get that trade going for us there on Apple, trying to bounce off of 233. It's not like a huge level or anything. We did talk about that, but we wanted to make sure that we did have something on if and when that does happen. And there it is right there. It's your first money trade of the day as we take out a quick piece there at 50 for Apple. But hey, guys, the market is below. It's below VWAP. There's lots of things happening right now. Be careful with these longs is my advice.
Yeah, and so through 51 is GM here, as it's now 4% to the upside. Yep. So it just broke higher. Yeah, I thought we'd get another dip before this move happened. I'm just getting a stop, and I want a tight stop into the 80s there. But Apple's starting to come back in. So GM, we just got the breakout as Apple is testing that 33, as Sean has mentioned. It did do an initial bounce off of this level, but the second foray into this area does look like it's trying. Oh no, a little bit of a reversal here. So it's still trying to battle 233. I actually just saw it get to the offer of 233, and immediately some more selling did come in. I'm essentially just giving it to this high in here, which is the 80 level. Doesn't look like it's done heading into the downside just yet on Apple. So we're going to get my stop order in there. Like I said, General Motors with a breakout on earnings. They beat top, bottom, all that good stuff. I hate those morning reports. Be nice if we had some aftermarket price action. Just checked up at the quarters, though. Might get something out in front of that quarter mark and then see how far this one does want to go. But the chips, while AMD's going to the downside, actually Nvidia caught a bid. AMD breaking lower while Nvidia catches one heck of a bid at that 142. Wow.
All right, we are in shares now, so let's wait to see what winds up happening here with Apple. So we're going to give this, okay, let's go. This would be a big trade if we can get it to go, but again, we need it to go. So there it goes to the downside. I was going to say our stop here on this trade is 50s. So if it can get back up to the upside, we'll take a little bit more out here just because, again, 20 cents or so. So we're 20 cents in the money. We'll see if we can negotiate. There it is. Yes, let's go right now, Neil. This is going to be a big boy trade. Finally, right now, let's go Apple. We talked about this could possibly be the big trade. So there it is, man. We take a little bit more out. We're actually out now of 40% on this move higher, man. We're long, Neil, at 232.65 right now on Apple. 232.65 on Apple with more shares than you can wag a stick at. Here it goes, 233. Let's go. Come on. We're starting to get more and more out here. I'll take 40 cents all day on these share sizes. Let's go over to Adara. What's up?
Another earnings play here. We talked a little bit about GM and GE. There's also PM. This is Philip Morris here trading on the NYSE. Near day's highs. Worth noting, not a ton of volume yet in this move. We're below 1 million shares as of right now, around 700,000. But they did beat across the board. They also actually had higher than expected earnings per share forecast here for fiscal 2024. So strong earnings and strong guidance, sending PM sharply to the upside this Tuesday morning, guys.
Philip Morris to the upside, 3M, as you said, already to the upside. GM just ran into, like I said, there was a bit of a wall here at that quarter mark. It just finally punched through, got into 51.40. Now all of a sudden it's right back at that quarters, but holding on the bid. So what was early resistance on the break has turned into potential support. I don't want this getting back underneath that 51 level because I think if you lose 51, you're headed right back into the 50s on General Motors. So I just want to make sure I get my stop in there. I think there might be an issue with them, but there we go.
Go.
Apple's starting to go. So here's the play for me into that prior high. Until this gets to 233.5, I'm not ringing the register on it yet. I'm looking for a place to be adding to this. So now that you've actually held that bottom, I want to see it put in a higher low. There's your wick basis. That's catching the falling knife. I want an entry that's on strength, not necessarily on that weakness. So Apple's trying to catch a bit of a bid. Nvidia is already catching a bid here as it's above that 142. But there's your wick. Basically, had to catch the falling knife on. I want to see it hold a higher low. Then we can work trend back into the upside over here on, Nvidia and Apple, I suppose. But we're not in Nvidia just yet.
All right, guys, and that's the completely, I mean, good call there on Neil, but that's the difference when we're talking about styles and what we're doing, right? I mean, I am scalping this out right now. Like, it's a big, huge position. We won't, talk about, I'll just talk about for myself that it was big, right? And so we'll get it out as it goes. Nvidia, we'll see what that's doing. Come on, Apple. I mean, we could, see, this is the trader's dilemma when you're trading size. Is like, do you hold this for that monster trade if it can go, or do you just start scalping it out? And right now, I've chosen scalping out. We only have about 30% left on this one. So again, we'll wait to see what happens. I am getting a little bit more nervous. We'll get some more out here as it is battling with there. Go take the O2s out again. I mean, look, 35-cent winner is fine. Is not fine. It is fantastic. And I even now think, okay, let's just wait on it. I'm not even looking at anything else. What's up, Adara?
Keep an eye here in TCBP if you're looking at small caps. This one's pulling back quite a lot here after that volume candle, but still really strong volume, about 40%. This is TC Biopharm. They announced they're entering this research planning collaboration with a virology doctor working out of the University of Surrey. This is an Mpox-related story. So TCBP entering an Mpox-related research collaboration here. Keep an eye on TC Biopharm. It has run in the past. It was on our watch list this morning. And they have a market cap of $730,000. So under $1 million market cap for TCBP.
Thank you very much there, Adara. So right through the top here, 51.50 just broke on General Motors.
Script order.
Yeah, I'm going to play back in. So we're having an issue with our script orders, which basically means we have to use like an edge A stop, like a direct edge, which is a different stop order in there. But it is what it is. But to the upside, just going to ring register on GM, now 5.5% in. Just tagged the 51.65 level, so I did get some out there. Now if it breaks 51, I'm just going to get myself out if it breaks that 51. Fortunately, I'm only in two things here. One of the things I love about our scripts is we have that script order that does like the 50% and the 75% or 100% of your position. But now all of a sudden, there's the bottoming tail wick in the entry where I'm looking to add here on Apple.
Holy
so, see if we can get some more in here. I think it's a play into 234 first and then 234 and a quarter. So looking for an add here on Apple. It's just in these two names for now. Apple and GM. GM now 70 pennies in the money. Looking for that full dollar move here on GM. Once it gets to 52, I'm taking even more out.
Oh boy, yeah, great call there on the GM. I mean, we've talked about that level, but boy, oh boy, oh boy, are we doing some serious damage over here right now? The name of the game is making money. What up to Money Mitch? What up to everybody here watching and taking these trades on Apple? We called this would be. Remember I said let's timestamp this 9:58. I said this trade could be a big one, and it's already been there. We only have a third left of this Apple trade. What up, Adara?
Great look here for Funware, PHUN, moving actually the opposite of DJT, which is moving lower with decreasing volume. PHUN increasing volume here strongly to the upside of about 20%. Looks like just like a sympathy play with DJT as both names get a lot of attention here, but nice continued uptrend over the last few days for PHUN, which has a float of about 11.23 million shares. About 6.5% of that is going to be sold short, guys.
Fun having fun, and no doubt about it. It's fun when you're in the longs and the market is going to the upside, although, you got to pick your poison, because I'm looking over and the market doesn't go anywhere. So we're actually lower highs on the ES and the NASDAQ, at least when I double check. Yeah, ES doing a little bit better than the NASDAQ in here, but it's very, very slight. It's actually neck and neck, back and forth. So I said next stop 52, takes them out in front of the 52 level. At this point, now that it's made the 51 break into 52, it's just going to be the trend line break back down. And if we break trend on the way back down, I think that's going to be underneath about here when you connect that trend line. So underneath the 75, I'm going to take half out. Going to have to do that manually because we don't have that key that's going to automatically do it for us. So just one entry in GM on the break, and we'll hold for the next level up, which I think is going to be every single quarter here on General Motors on the way to. I mean, right now you've broken through resistance. So you're really just playing it, to me, like every 50 cents is going to be significant here on General Motors.
All right, yeah, good look there on GM. Okay, let's go over and see what Nvidia is doing right now. I mean, again, we had written down 140.50. It didn't get there. It got to 141.50, almost 141.80 or 70 and change. Our low for some reason isn't registering there. 141.80 or so. I'm going to try to see if Apple can breathe a little bit here. Back up to the upside. So what else do we have? Oh, DraftKings we forgot to look at. Okay, so again, I think Nvidia takes out that high. I mean, it's just a matter of when. The market now has broken through the 50-period moving average and through VWAP and starting to go up higher right now. We did get a great little, I mean, we could have used this as our area. Apple, man, oh man, Apple's making the month right now. 141.80 right down there as a bottom take for Nvidia. We could have looked at that. That was the low in the afternoon. So that is making sense. And oh boy. Apple, let's just, I don't have another offer out, so I got to put some offers out right now on this name. So let's just put them out, some more in the 30s here, more in the high 40s, and then if we can get back, then we'll do that. So right there, Apple really starting to go back to that upside. All right. So here we go. We're into the TQQs. Now, the thing about this is we wanted to be in this name just for technical reasons. But look, I just noticed right now we have broken back through this. But there it is right there. It's the 50-period moving average right now on this level. So I don't mind this, but we are starting to break through right now. And I don't want to be in this for very long. So let's put, again, we'll have to manually, I guess, get the stop in there. But if it breaks too much higher than where we are right now, we're going to get out of the TQQs because we have Apple and we don't need it to go bye-bye for us right now. So let's get some out here at 36 as Apple just continues to run. I just don't want to give it back here trading the futures. So TQs, we'll get out of 2/3 of it right there for that 12-cent hit. And meanwhile, Apple right now, wow, Neil, Apple is absolutely mooning and right there. We thought we had the best trade yesterday on Nvidia, but right now, Apple with, there it is, man. We got $1 over there or so, I think, in GM, and there's $1 now in Apple. But again, this is a big, big position, which is why I'm getting it out on the way up. So let's go Apple, let's go GM, let's go Adara.
APVO picking up on volume here. As you can see, this one has run in the past. I'm not seeing any catalyst for Aptevo Therapeutics, but it is in the biotech space, which you know a lot of these small caps have been running lately. It does have a market cap of $2.25 million, so pretty small market cap for a penny stock, currently trading around 38 cents. Float of 9.4 million shares and lots of social media attention for APVO.
Okay, so here we go. Like, you're now at pre-market. The pre-market low level on Apple is right here at like 233.74. VWAP is here at 90s. I think one more out in front of VWAP, and then look for it to consolidate, maybe break higher. Just in the two names, I think it's probably a good thing because with one of my favorite stops not working, you're not going to be in as many things. But I want to go over to IBIT for a second because it's bouncing off 38. Now remember that support is like 66,700 and whatever. But it just corresponds to about $38 in IBIT. It's already bounced twice this morning off of that level. So I'd like to see maybe one more test down here. I only have 4 level 2s up right now. It's IBIT and then GM, Apple, Nvidia, which hasn't really done anything, to be honest with you, yet. I think it's about to break the high. But IBIT, about to test that 38. If it can bounce one more time, I'd look for a little quick VWAP retracement play here in IBIT. Nvidia still flying. Didn't really, I mean, look at the snap right back. I think that was your only chance, like right here at 42.5 for a nice clean entry on the way back upside here, unfortunately. But it looks like it just wants to take out these tops on NVDA. I like playing trend, which means look for like a VWAP pullback. I don't know if you get those lows one more time. Just got to be patient with it here on NVIDIA to join the trend. GM is just continuing to fly. It's almost 8% up. You got to keep in mind, like it's a blue sky setup. But if it gets to 53, I think it's going to set itself up for another trade. So the second it gets to that 53, I'm looking to put a tighter stop trail on this one. If you put a trend line in here, it's just a super steep one regardless. So a fail of 53, I'm playing back into the prior high here on General Motors. Nice ride for GM, 50 to 51, now up to the $53 level. Tesla's catching a bit of a bid as well. Robbie V, thank you for the super chat. We appreciate you. APLD broke through 9. Yeah, remember that one from yesterday. Congratulations. Hope you're long it. If APLD made that 9 break, that's a good one. We'll get to that when we have an opportunity, but I want to make sure I get my my trail in here on GM now that it's got that 53 level.
All right. Yeah, unfortunately, my stop worked. So there it goes. My stop got in for Sofi. All right, so we have that level. So this is the level right here, 1055. We wrote it down. We're in this name here, Sofi, at this level. So again, I sort of said, like, let's play it back to the 5-minute candle because I wanted to give this one. There it goes, bye-bye chart, because I want to give this one a little bit of room. So we're going to see what's going on right now with Sofi and a possible break higher here. So hold on a second, I got to go here, and then I got to go. This is going to take me a minute to get this chart. Okay, so there it is right now. So here it is. So yeah, I think we got to give this. Okay, good. It's right kind of right where VWAP is. So 1040s or so there for Sofi. We'll give this one a little bit of room, as we said on that play. So let's see if it wants to go. That is a nice break there for Sofi, breaking through its 52-week high of 1055. So bye-bye Sofi for now, up 1.3% as the NASDAQ and the ES, I think, trying to go. Let me see what the ES is doing right now. The S&P was down yesterday against the NASDAQ, so down again against the tech space as well. So NASDAQ and SPY still both down, but one moving in the other way. So 1042 breaker we'll get out. We want to give it a little bit of room there, maybe 1040 there for Sofi. But Apple moving. We did not reload the NASDAQ there. I was going to give it to 75 on the TQQs here if we can get into that sort of gap level there. That was going to be my next area. But we already emptied this out. This was a small hit. It was a hit, but small one. one at that. And then Apple, very well done to get, that's Apple. Apple, well done to get out there at VWAP at 233.80s or so. So good little out there. We'll get out more if it goes back up. But right now, Sofi on my mind.
Yeah, there we go. Good look there. And I'm out of GM. I just actually punched out manually. So I had a script order out that's working on IBIT. So I think they're starting to come back online. But anyways, I just punched out when it broke the trend line here. I had an offer to try and grab some 53s. So at the time I had to take profits. So it's going to code as like that's purple, but it's just me getting out of GM. Clean 51 break. Last out 52.80 in there. Apple's starting to pull back a little bit, but I like the fact the market's making some highs again, or at least making a challenge of the highs over there on that ES. And the NASDAQ's now taking the lead. When I last checked, this was just a couple of minutes ago, the ES was actually neck and neck with the NASDAQ. Now the NASDAQ's pulling out in front. I think that's because you're seeing some strength go into the chips. But Apple goes right into the pre-market high. Now it needs to hold a higher low above that 233 for any kind of a reload here on Apple. IBIT is testing that 38 level. So there is a couple of bounces off of 38 on IBIT, then puts in this higher low. I got long at 7s, want to play into VWAP first, and then these highs, opening range high like 38.20 on IBIT or Bitcoin. We're just trading IBIT, the ETF. Adara.
Keep an eye on TSM, the Taiwan Semiconductor. They had a nice bounce off the open, but they're actually pushing a little bit higher here as companies coming forward saying that they're not aware that they're under any investigation at this time. Recently, there was a report they were under investigation for bypassing export controls in order to supply chips to Huawei. Now they're actually saying not only are they not aware of being under any investigation, but they actually have not supplied to Huawei since mid-September 2020. So it's been over 4 years since that happened. Basically, TSM on watch after denying that they are under any investigation, saying that the company they're allegedly supplying to and bypassing these export controls for, they haven't even supplied to in 4 years. So TSM, guys.
All right, more trades there for Apple. We're waiting to see what Sofi is doing here as well. I mean, it just dipped in. We were trying to buy some more at VWAP, but that didn't come in yet there for Sofi. So we're going to wait for that. Our out's going to be down here at 40s. So we like this to get into the 60s at least before we start looking at taking some profit. And then again, another spot out for Apple there as we got some 16s out there for Apple as it just came back in right there. That was our last trade. You know what? I don't think our is this chart even really working? I got filled there at 16.
Give it a second.
Yeah, I got filled there at 16 on Apple, so hopefully that will show up. It went to 20s there, so hopefully that will come in again, and we'll be able to see that trade a little more clear. But okay, so for right now, that's what's happening on the market. We're going to give it another go here on the TQs as it's coming back in now. We did do okay to hold this. We're only holding about 20% of the position. So maybe if it comes down into the 74 area, looks like we could be right on this one as well. But we'll hold out because we did punch out. We were nervous. We rode that Apple to the upside there and really cashed out on Apple. Apple will be a huge trade today. So we'll just leave it at that and work this through. So again, we're going to wait for 232.50 to break there on Apple and probably get a little bit more. But sometimes second time is not a charm. So we do not have to necessarily get into this one, but that is the bottom. And I will try it again, probably in the 60s, like where we got our first position, 65. So if we can get something in and around here, might be worth a little shot on Apple. So we'll put some shares down there in the 70s and see if we can get that, as now the futures are 10 handles in the money. We are looking to bid some out. I'm bidding at 08 for some random reason. Oh, that's because that's the bottom of that candle right there, and we just went to 09. So yay for me. Let's see if the NASDAQ can come back in just a little bit there. Nice push back up for Apple, and we'll wait to see what's going on with Sofi coming through. But those are the names that I'm looking at. Nvidia should be on here. We said let's look at VWAP, so we'll have a look at that in a couple minutes.
Yeah, Nvidia actually pulling back about $1. It actually doesn't break that high. The pre-market high and the aftermarket high does not go on Nvidia. It was churning like it really wanted to. Unfortunately, doesn't. So back in, I'm back in off this 233. My execution just showed in there off this first bounce. If we lose the local bottom, I'm jumping out of that trade and then wait lower to see where it wants to head. Like there's your support level into that prior high. If it loses that prior high, I'm jumping out of this one. You're still in the midst of a pullback. in the overall market after that wick high. And DJT and Fun, I understand they're both going. DJT about to break 33. It does have 34. I think it's like 34.30 or so is the actual high in there. And then the one that's also going ham and actually going more is Funware, up 22% right now on Fun. It's through $10 on the daily chart out here on Fun. You got to go all the way back into March. It was about 11 and change was resistance for Funware, and it's getting there really closely. If DJT fails some kind of a break, that's pretty much the only place I'd look to fail Funware. Not if DJT is going up. It has to be going down heavy on DJT. But Funware flying. Let's go to the desk with Adara.
Keep an eye on Microsoft. MSFT up 1 1/3%, near days highs. I'm not seeing any news on this either for Microsoft. Could be some pre-earnings excitement that you report next week. It is worth noting the one story I did find, Microsoft, OpenAI, and I believe another company as well, collaborating to invest $10 million in news fellowship. But $10 million, pretty small potatoes for MSFT. Keep an eye on this name as it continues to make new days highs as we speak.
I remember I've said since the start of the show the market's rigged, and we've talked about that from a very, very long time. Not everybody agrees, but I think here, look at this example here. Google, we talked about what's the next ones to go. We talked about Microsoft yesterday at the 200 period. It's going for no reason. Look at this move for Google. Google just shot up $2 right now. So as you're seeing some money come out, maybe of the apples that they've already run up, we could check out what Meta's been doing lately. We could check out Amazon. But right now, it looks like Google and Microsoft, good look there, Adara, as that continues to make moves higher right now, both Google and Microsoft. That's funny that we missed that TQs by a penny, and now it's up 40 cents from there. So again, fine by me, man, as Apple continues to go. Big time alert here today for AAPL. It's now twice in a row. Yesterday we had Nvidia on here at 140. Today we have Apple at 233, and it is an absolute banger there to the north side. So we'll just wait to see if that can do anything. The other trade that I wanted to look at, and I forgot about it actually, first time I'm looking at it right now, is DraftKings. So that Google, though, I might have to get involved. DraftKings still at the 200 period, so it's moving a little differently. We wanted that 36.50 break. That never happened. This is sort of that level from yesterday. So this is a 5-minute chart. So we'll have to see what's going on right now on why we're not getting that break lower. So maybe it is a fade off of that 5-minute, but that's 37.50. We're going to have to give that a go. Sofi is sleeping. I don't know what to tell you guys right now. I mean, this, again, we'll put it back to a 1-minute chart just for scalping purposes. Down there into VWAP. Would like to get some more long. I have it at 10.45 down here. If we can get a bid down there, fine. But for right now, market's just teetering around. Yeah, let's get it to go there on Sofi. But Apple, Sofi, and the NASDAQ are the 3 positions that I have. And it will be, just on Apple alone, it's a trophy. So, and we can't give back on that. Well, we can give back, but even if it breaks the low, it'll still be your #1 stock today.
Just over here, I want to quickly show you guys what happened in IBIT, because when I was going over them last time, put our stop underneath 38 on IBIT, it ran, and then I remembered the plan of action on execution. 37.90 was the last support if you go to the 15-minute chart. So this was 37.90, it was even in the note. If it bounces off of 37.9 and comes back through 38, that's the entry that I want. So it's a false break of the low and then the reversal trade. So the false break of the low happened, I know, was in it, and then it comes right back in. There's your massive volume candle back up through 38. It did play right into some resistance at 38.15 where we got some out. Now I'm going to look to get some out in front of 10s, 15s, into 20 and 25 over there on IBIT. So just a bit of a, again, you can like a level, but sometimes it has to lit grab underneath to get a bigger reversal. BTC holding that 66. 7 to 8 area is going to be that 38. Still have no executions over here on Nvidia. It's putting in another higher low. I don't love this rejection of VWAP for an entry. Like there's your wick trying to get above. I'd like to see it confirm a hold of above VWAP. Otherwise, waiting for the 142 Nvidia still red on the session as we look. And then Apple just reloaded. You're holding the line here. Can't seem to push. It's still putting some lower highs in. So suddenly what I like is if you slap this lower high trend line into the same bottom, break out the trend, and then all of a sudden you can have a nice little trend going with some higher lows, playing this not just off of the flat bottom that it's got here, but trying to play its strength to the upside if it wants to go. But Apple's 1.4 to the downside in terms of percentage, while the NASDAQ is breaking it out. So you want this to be a joiner to what's going on overall in the NASDAQ. It's not like Nvidia is lifting us up. It's not like Apple is lifting us up in some other places that Sean was already mentioned. And Microsoft absolutely flying, finally breaking away off that 50 period on the daily. And then Amazon didn't get into 186, unfortunately. Amazon turned right at that 187 mark. Didn't really go as low as it was dipping the last 3 days. So not into Amazon. Going to look to see if we can join this one. Maybe a VWAP or trace. Just have to be patient with it. Find a solid execution. For the trend up in some of the other Mag 7 names.
Richmond Manufacturing Index coming up here for October, so we'll get that number from Adara momentarily at 10 o'clock. And yeah, we're just waiting for Sofi to give us a fill, which should be coming soon at 45. Hopefully that does come through for us at this point anyways. I could go to 46. Maybe we should just do that, but let's wait to see if 45 comes. Maybe if we miss it, that's fine. And we can get back up to the upside. This is the only questionable position right now. I mean, this NASDAQ position is not really a position. It's 20% of one, which again, we talk about the different share sizes. I'm still holding it, so still responsible for it, but we've already did get out a little bit right now. All right, so we do have happening now with manufacturing numbers as we speak.
Richmond manufacturing numbers actually a little bit earlier than expected. We're expecting these at 10 a.m. Couple seconds early, but we got negative 14 for the Richmond Fed Manufacturing Index. That is higher than the consensus of negative 18 and the forecast of negative 20. It's also higher than the previous print of negative 21. Richmond Fed Manufacturing Shipments Index also above expectations, negative 8 versus the previous of negative 18, forecast of negative 17. And so is the Richmond Fed's Services Revenue Index, positive 3 versus previous print of negative 1 and the forecast of negative 2. So again, higher across the board here for all of these Richmond prints. Chief among them, Richmond Fed Manufacturing Index, negative 14 versus consensus of negative 18. We also have Fed's Harker starting to speak right now. If I see any comments coming from that speech, I will let you know. I'm just seeing apparently Fed's Harker did not comment on monetary policy or the economic outlook during the speech. But again, if there's any comments of note, I will give those to you guys. We have the market continuing to try to push up a little bit here. The Q is slightly stronger than the S&P 500 for the second day in a row now, at least early on. Continuing to have small caps on watch. We also had a bit of a spike there in oil, so keep an eye on crude oil and oil-related names, and also keep an eye on earnings. MMM, this is 3M, initially pretty strong here, selling off aggressively off the open, now trying to find a bit of a base. We do have 3M beating across the board for earnings per share and for sales, and also narrowing their guidance to the upside for fiscal 2024 EPS. Now, we also have Philip Morris, this one actually near day's highs here. PM, picking up volume off the open. They did beat across the board for EPS and for sales. They had higher than expected guidance. And they actually also announced that their nicotine pouch brand, Zyn, is going to, quote, gradually return to normal stock levels throughout 2025. So good news on Zyn and good outlook here for PM. So much to look at today, guys.
Yay, chewing tobacco. Okay, so Apple bounces nicely off this 233 level. We're already well invested on this one. We just took some more out at these levels, and let's see what winds up happening now with Apple. Again, not trying to get too creative with it, but just doing what we're doing, man, and that is making calls and putting them out. So there it is. The next call is going to be Sofi, which is right now not a very good one. I mean, it just bounced through VWAP. So we do get our 45. We didn't take very many shares down here. We'll add a third to the position because I'm going to get out if it breaks 40. I mean, I don't even really want to give it that low. You're at the 50-period moving average right now and breaking lower. This is just a 52-week high break fail right there on really no news, which is part of the problem. I should be trading names with catalysts involved, but right there, that was a good one. I don't mind that, trying to try that breakout. They've worked tons of times, not today. But that's why it's a problem because it will be a loss. But, Apple, let's just put it this way. I have more shares on Apple than I do on Sofi, and Sofi is a $10 name. So I'm talking about in the beginning here when we talked about how many shares we had down there. So, if for us to lose on this one, potentially 13 cents, is fine, but is bad, but it's fine. So we'll see about that going back up there to the upside. Hopefully it would be Sofi, but Apple's continuing to go. So we really like that stock and what that's been doing. That's the only position that I'm in right now. And the futures, little baby short. Maybe we should short this level, but I'm still pretty bullish. We're still above VWAP. Everything's sort of aligning. I want to get negative if we break this 74 area, but until we do that, then no, we're going to try to stay long on everything, but we'll hold this 20% TQ trade in case that does happen.
Yeah, I think the market's really relying on the fact that you've got like Nvidia won't break. I'm going to show you a couple of things in here. Nvidia has a wedge pattern, higher lows, lower highs. Tesla has the exact same thing going on. And it's almost as if like, which direction are we going to break at this point? Because I'm going to give you Apple, because Apple's starting to do what I was hoping, which is you throw the trend from the open, like the lower highs, it's about to close, breaking its wedge to the upside. So if this candle holds closing above, I want to look for an ad. That's higher lows into lower highs, break the wedge up, look long, break the wedge down, get the heck out of Dodge. But you've got a host of names doing pretty much the exact same thing, where they're not pressing higher, at least the ones I'm looking at, they're not pressing lower, so you want to see it actually pick a direction. Now, IBIT just bounced off the 38 again. It's still down 1%, but again, that doesn't really matter on Bitcoin. So overall, you made that wipeout bottom. Looking for a chance to add here now that it's holding above the higher low. I got one more out, and we'll be half into 38.20. If it breaks this, want to look for those pre-market levels. It's like 38.30 to 38.40. If it does go to 38.50, I think that's going to be an out. Overall, Bitcoin, when you look at this, it is resisting a breakout, and it's trend down since that break. So I'm looking for that push, but once we get into that first big resistance, which is the pre-market highs, we want to jump out of that trade and see if we can't find the next opportunity out there. So Apple is now closing above that trend line, looking for that ad as the market heading right back upside. Let's go to Adara.
PHUN and DJT really strong here. PHUN Funware at day's highs up 33%. Then we have DJT, which is also near day's highs here, up 6.5%. No news on these. We know DJT announced that their streaming or their Truth Plus streaming app is now available on Apple iOS. That was yesterday morning, but looks like both companies continuing to push higher as we have that upcoming election. Of course, DJT's namesake and majority shareholder Donald Trump, the Republican candidate. So DJT, PHUN, still pretty hot here today.
Apple ripping, SoFi not. SoFi dripping. So that will come breaking through 40s. Right now, we'll watch to see if it does come through. If it breaks 40, I'm just... I was going to punch out, but I mean, if it breaks 40, then with 39, I mean, I was going to maybe take a 38. Let me just put that order in right now. 1038, I think, is a better stop than 1037. It'll only cost me one more penny, but that's fine. It's going to break 40, then hit 39s, and then I'll just punch out. So that, it could be eventually the bottom there, but we're still in this one. As there it is, man. It is a dollar club there. I know Neil reloaded it. That was a good one. But Apple is just an absolute monster. This is what will put us over the moon today, P&L wise. Like, obviously getting hit there on SoFi, which is about to happen, is a problem, and we'll give back something there. We'll give back probably about, let's wait. I don't want to say anything because there goes Apple, man. Apple is absolutely mooning. Let's take another out right now at the high of the day for Apple. Again, it's Sticky Note Nation right here, 233 long. The idea right there. Let's see if it wants to work out. All right, we're into 75 right now. That was going to be a level that we were looking at for the TQQs. We were trying to be patient with this one, man. We talked about it. We just missed our out there, but we can play off that top wick, which is 75.10 or so, 75.05. So that'll be our stop there on the TQs if it does get into that level. So we'll put some outs right now. We are short at 76. Maybe this can make a winner out of us all after the end of the day here, but 75.06 is going to be our out there on the TQQs, and let's hope, as we've mentioned before, the stop orders will work. 75.06, trying to get out of this market if it does go back up. We just got some out there, and we'll see about a little bit lower, 10 cents or so to come back in would be nice. So there we go. We'll see if our stop orders do work, but we are short right now. The market and long Apple, and Apple is an absolute doozy right now. So there it goes. Let's see what winds up happening. Short the market, long Apple makes no sense. Market about to go green right now, and oh boy, man, this Apple trade has been... it's like we had this yesterday with that Nvidia, and we didn't really know what to say, and we're kind of the same way here with this Apple trade. So far, so good there. We've really stepped up our game as far as share size is concerned over the last little bit, and it is really, really paying off. So again, we had a pretty much a maximum position down there, and you guys know how we talk about share size. So it was a good one for us. There it goes, Apple 233.85 right there. That's your trophy trade of the day.
Yeah, I love this Apple move, and it's coming with the market breaking back out. Nvidia tagged yesterday's high and is pulling back off it. It might make a double break, but we just got the break of the local area here on IBIT. That was at 38.25. And again, I'll call to it like the plan of action is false break 38, hold 37.9, get it on the way back up. You don't want to be in the rinse. You want to be in the other direction. So we did get out to jump right back in at that 38 level. Now we're going to hold. As I said, the play is into this area here at about 38.4. Now, obviously, you can look at spot Bitcoin if you want. We're trading on IBIT. So I'm going to get one more out here. Just failed that pre-market high. So just going to get some out there, 38.20. Now I want to hold for VWAP. If we lose VWAP, I jump out. If we hold VWAP, great. So IBIT worked. GM is still doing its thing. It's basically consolidating off the 53 level. So there hasn't been like a pullback into VWAP to work the trend again here on General Motors. There hasn't been a break of the high. It's just sort of, I mean, since we got out, it's been holding essentially the same level the entire way. So I suspect it might be geared up for either like a massive breakout, a blue sky setup, or back into VWAP. I think we can like here on General Motors. So just going to be patient, waiting for the next opportunity in GM. For myself here in Apple, it just tagged that 34 area level. There we go. So right into the opening range top and then pulling back. But that trend, that lower high wedge, I still want to play longs back into it. So if we get underneath VWAP, I still think it's a long on the front side in here on Apple. While down 1%, it's a nice little bounce. And finally, like you're making lower highs into a flat bottom, and it finally broke out there. So good to see it. And Nvidia, no break. Nvidia right at 144.40. So this little top that got made on that imbalance, it's still the high on NVDA as it starts to pull back in. So just took the last bit of profit on both, and then we're going to hold back into our original dip areas on IBIT and Apple. Looking for a VWAP or trace here on NVIDIA.
All right. So we, again, you know, sometimes luck strikes in good ways and sometimes it strikes in bad ways. And we got stopped out there, but it was a very, very small position on the TQs because we had gotten out right there and we'd gotten out here. So we're back into the short now, realizing that that might have been one of those blowout tops there on the futures as well. And that gave us a great opportunity to get more and more out, of course, on Apple up there. So it's been a really good day. It's just been back and forth right here. So Apple continues to rule the roost there for sure. Sofi, again, look at that. We made the bottom there on Sofi. Again, that's pretty unbelievable. So we'll have to wait to see if maybe it's not the bottom, but it looks like we may have done that there on Sofi. We'll I'll buy a little bit more back there just to test it at this level. But again, without too much happening in the market, I mean, the market's moving right now. We had Microsoft talk. We had some Google talk earlier as well. As far as other names to maybe trade, we can go back to our DraftKings. We can have a quick look, of course, at some Palantir. But okay, we're back into SoFi right now. Let's be stubborn with it a little bit and see if that was the bottom or not down there, and just see if we can get, like, it's funny, we get stopped out and then it rips up 4 cents. Not ripping, but still 4 cents would have been nice to save. Thank you for that one. All right, so more outs here as we're now 10 handles in. We'll just keep on putting some bids down here. Hopefully the market will have that top there. But again, being long Apple, I'm fine if the market goes up, but we want to make sure that we get some of this profit back right here, as it's not too bad. We will be red on the TQs, but if we get the 50 fill that we're kind of expecting to get right now, then it will be all good on that one. Thank you, Sir Randy.
Thank you.
How's your day been going? The boss is back in the building? Nice. I have no idea.
Up? I'm making a complete guess on Ford based on the fact. Randy just asked us how Ford is doing. I know he didn't have the microphone there. It's up.
There's Ford.
It is up
$11.
because GM's up. So Ford's up 1.5% because
not bad.
GM is having a big. It's back above that 11, which is the key level.
What's the play there, Randy?
For
What did you say? Oh, half sympathy
Yeah.
play.
Well, I mean, Ford's a dog. And not in a good way. It doesn't have that dog in it. You know what I mean? Like, that's what you want. GM's got that dog in it. Ford is just a dog, unfortunately. Although that's a horrible saying. Like, make it an animal that people don't like. Like, Ford's a skunk. Nobody likes skunks. There you go. Like, it doesn't even make any sense. Like, yeah, a dog is supposed to be bad.
Skunks are good. Skunks.
We like skunks?
Yeah, skunks are good. They actually, one time we had this hornet's nest, and a skunk, we were like, oh my God, we got to get rid of it. And then the very next day, a skunk already took care of that for us. It absolutely went nuts and took out that
Everything has a
hornet's nest
function.
for us.
Everything has a function.
Yeah, he got, Ramin says she really prefers roaches right there. So those are her favorites. As that's a weird one.
Well, yeah, well, I mean, everything has a function. I don't know what roaches' function are, but I'm sure they have one. Although spiders have a function, I still hate them.
Papa
I don't
roach?
care what anyone says.
Okay, so Ford, who cares? Thank you, Randy, for that, by the way. All right, there goes Apple. I don't mean who cares. I mean, I don't think I'll be trading it. Right there, Kathy Wood. She doesn't buy value stocks like Apple does. She is Apple a value stock? I don't know. But there it goes right back up there to the upside. It is, again, that $1.50 winner now. Let's offer something out at 05 and just take out the high of the day right there. That's a face slapper back in there. That is really too bad that Sofi came out where it did. Damn, Daniel, as if you got out there at Sofi at the bottom again. All right, well, we'll take some more out here. We're making money back, but at the end of the day, like if everybody has that same out that I did, then you probably got stopped out like I did. And we said that we were going to buy it back, so I'm fine with buying it back and letting you guys know all about that. We only bought it back with a third of the shares. So, you know, we're done like sort of just railing into all of these all of the time. We got to make smart trades and the best trades. And that's why, honestly, this Apple trade is monstrous today. It's the biggest trade. Yesterday we had a big one. We talked about that with Nvidia. And today, this Apple trade, I don't know, P&L wise, it's very, very similar to what we did yesterday on Nvidia. So big time trading here with big time shares. And I don't have a problem telling you guys if and when we get hit, because I tell you, when you trade more shares and you get hit, it sucks just as bad as when you win. So it sucks maybe more than when you win. So we'll have to wait to see here. But so far, so good. And that's the game, right? That's the game. You got to just make the best plays you can and try to figure that out. So there it goes right back up to the day's high again, 20,500. This is kind of why I want to be in the futures right now a little bit. Because we're at that 20,500 marker. I mean, we sort of built this out to you guys before. And remember, we said this bottom. I mean, I talked about this bottom when we were up here. This is why we zoomed it out, man. We talk about the futures here. Sharif and I talk about these. Sharif has his segment, and I like to look at them. It's on the sticky note there today as well. But that was a good level there. But right here, we're just near this top again. So I don't mind giving some money back to lose if I'm shorting in and around a level that I consider to be some kind of decent support. So we'll wait for that one. Oh boy, Sofi is really making me happy that we've made this run back. We just got a 49 fill up there, so how good was that? But at the end of the day, that's too bad that our bigger position got stopped out there for that 13 cents. So we're making a little bit back now, but only on a third of that size. So yeah, interesting day, I feel like today. Market doesn't seem like it's at its highs, but
we're about to go green.
Is.
Jinxed.
Yeah.
Yeah, jinxed. I was about to say the Nasdaq's about to go green. The ES is actually lagging a bit here again. And you see those Mag 7 names and Nvidia going higher. That's why. So Bitcoin did get to, and we're in IBIT, but obviously BTC is clearly what's making the move. So you held that support level. You're getting into where the resistance is at about 67.5 into 67.8 here on BTC. So now we got that last salvo on IBIT. It did make one little pullback into 38.3. If we get to 38.5, that's where I'd move my trail. At this point, I'm trailing back underneath that 38.30 level on IBIT. So that retracement back in through 38, it's given us the move that we wanted. We'll hold to see if Bitcoin actually wants to press higher. I think it's like a step-to-step. And overall, it's a pullback on the daily in Bitcoin. So it's just a bounce off this 38 level, and then we'll see what the next step is going to be. Nvidia is still trying to break that high. There wasn't a VWAP retracement, as you guys can all see here. I'd rather be buying a dip than trying to punch the top when the futures are at overnight resistance. Doesn't feel like this is the right time of day to be looking for the breakout trade in Nvidia. On trend means it's going to be a bit of a dip trade for me. So just have to be patient with it. I think it's going to give us our opportunity at some point here to jump into the trend. And Robbie V, there was the super chat on APLD. We're going to take care of some business, and I'll get to that in a quick second.
All right, everybody, let's go. We have our hat on now. We want to welcome Money Mitch to the show earlier today as well, but now we have Trade the Pool. We are thrilled to announce here at Trader TV and Trade the Pool's huge giveaway. Ooh, with a little trophy emoji beside it. 7 traders will win $20,000 worth of buying power to trade with. This is your opportunity to start trading and getting funded with Trade the Pool for free. This is your opportunity for free. The registration runs from October 21st to the 25th. They're running out of time, and the winners will be announced on the 29th of October. Don't miss your chance to get funded. Trade the Pool is a prop trading firm that funds stock traders through unique evaluation model. The firm allows traders to trade over 12,000 stocks, a lot, and ETFs, including penny stocks, with the freedom to trade during pre-market or after hours, and you can bypass, let's go TQQs, the PDT rule. Traders who pass the evaluation receive funds and share the profits with the company. Join now for free. The link is right there. Get ready to apparently stock and roll. So there it is, man. It is Sofi. It is Trade the Pool. It is TQQs. Make sure you scan that immediately and get involved with Trade the Pool and Trader TV Live. Everything gold these days. We'll have to look at some GLD, as a lot of people looking to do that as well. But here we go. A nice little short there at these levels. We'll see if it comes back in to roost here. The TQQs and the NASDAQ. Right now, SoFi, 8 cents in the money. Who cares? Apple, I mean, I like the trade. Apple right now holding higher, but it's the TQQs right now that we're trying to dance with. There it is, man. There's back in. We just took 7 handles right there. We'll see if we can get a move a little bit lower now on the market, as we're just trying to scalp this back. If we just get a couple more fills, we will be flat right now on this market. So there it is. Now we are flat. Now we are up right now on our futures trading for the day. So let's get a little bit lower here on this NASDAQ and bid out. I mean, I think we can get in the 50s. I'm bidding 56, just ahead of this 53 marker here. So couple good outs down there in the low 70s. Apple probably going to come out here again today. But after everything is said and done, it's going to be a big day. Let's just see if the market can hold. It's 10:20 right now. And we're going to go over to the screen. It's Adara. She's got the jacket today.
IWM continuing to be weak here, as we have the S&P 500 and the Qs trying to move back higher, currently down almost 1%, and actually a bit of rejection here of that 222 level, which held us support yesterday. We couldn't even get to 222 before falling lower, though. As of right now, we're finding some support at 220 for the Russell 2000. CYCC, this one falling back a little bit now, but still about 35% for Cyclacel. This one has run in the past. I'm not finding any news on this rally, but it does have a market cap of around $4 million and a 2 million share float, so a smaller float market cap for frequent runner CYCC. Next up, we have SGMO, near days highs, up about 50% right now. Syncamo Therapeutics, this is another one that has run in the past, announcing this alignment with the FDA with regards to an accelerated approval pathway for its Fabry disease treatment. So accelerated approval pathway through the FDA here for this Fabry disease treatment for SGMO. Last but not least, PHUN, this one just made a bit of a topping tail candle on the 3-minute chart, still up about 40% here. Trading in tandem with DJT, but PHUN here, smaller float around just over 11 million shares and almost 7% short float. Funware, another frequent runner. Lots of those on the small cap recap today, guys.
Much Adair, appreciate you. And speaking of small caps, I promise you, Robbie V, we get to that super chat and DB with one as well. SP Williams with a super chat. Thank you, SP Williams. Does money-making Mitch resemble Joseph? I don't know about that, but maybe. I don't know about that, but certainly got his own flair. Robbie V wanted APLD through $9. This is one we were mentioning yesterday, and then we'll get into some DJT and Funware as well, as Adair was just mentioning. But APLD, clean breakout. It's a 15% short float, so it is a short float runner. There's your $9 break, what we were talking about yesterday. I don't think I'm showing you anything that's not obvious on the daily chart where the next spot is. Look at the rejections out and about above 10. So like 10.5 has been like the big spot, but 10 even. There's probably a lot of bag holders in there that would have been buying some breakouts, and maybe they're still holding if they didn't take it out the last time it bounced. So APLD, it does have room on this daily chart after the 9 break. That said, prior high is about 880. So even if it were to pull back, you have these prior highs at 880 that it could technically hold on to and still look pretty good. So shout out to anyone that's actually had that break. Wasn't really on the radar this morning. There were plenty of other things going. DJT just lost a 33 break, so there was no takeout of the week's high at 34 after all on DJT, and it's starting to reverse. With that, here's Funware, just did this topping tail candle. It was a bit of a hefty one, so it got almost to $13. It's already at $11.80. That was a bit of a... I said if DJT started to fail that move, I would go in over to Funware. There wasn't a reasonable entry into this sucker. Like, it went $12.80 all the way down to like $12.20 pretty much instantly on that last failure on DJT. So, you know, might have missed that opportunity for a short trade. But VWAP just came in here on Nvidia, so we grabbed some Nvidia off of VWAP. The local bottom here is 143.30. So underneath that, I am getting out of Nvidia and hunting for the next level. We thought we'd maybe break out the top on Nvidia. It just never ended up happening on Nvidia. But it's still a chance to do so. It's got to bounce off VWAP. You can't get to the high if you don't bounce somewhere. So we're looking at VWAP first. Apple is still holding on to VWAP here. So I guess back into the trend or 233, at least temporarily, is out of the question, although we could easily get a test. And then IBIT, we said we'd trail it out. So IBIT, that's that 38 hold. Should have had it only in one direction, which is on the way back through 38, which was part of the plan. It did just trail back into 38.3. We'll look to see if VWAP wants to trend it back into the upside for a separate trade here on IBIT. So it should only be one execution. Unfortunately, it's two, because I got some on the way down instead of only getting it back on the way to set upside. So again, just trying to be patient and make that next play in there. Nvidia got to VWAP first. Apple doesn't seem like it wants to go to those lows. And the other thing that we wanted to try to jump into trend on was Amazon. Amazon is having no part of VWAP or no part of a larger pullback. So if we're not going to get into VWAP, the only other key level up here would be prior day high. So prior day high sits 189.5 or so on Amazon. That looks about as good as any for a potential spot to jump into the trend. If you're wondering why is the NASDAQ trying to turn green when you have so many names that are technically in the red, I mean, Nvidia's flat, Apple's still red. Well, Amazon's churning and Microsoft is churning as well. So there's some strength in some other places today.
Yeah. All right. So we can start looking Wolf. I mean, we can look at Wolf Speed. We can look at a bunch of different names. Here's a hot list that I have, again, from eSignal. You guys can check out eSignal. I mean, I've been using, like I said, eSignal for a very, very long time, 22 years to be exact, right here. And you can get a hot list. You can get different indexes here. What's going on? This is volume. So you could actually do volume rate, which is right here. And these are the names that have been, you know, moving lately. So this is like a picked up in volume. And I just have the 52-week high, 52-week low marked here, and then little indicators if and when we hit that. But this is your eSignal hot list. And this is what I use right now. So just to look over here, what maybe is leading the way. There's Wolf. And unfortunately, we can pull up the chart right here on a 5-minute chart to have a look at Wolf. There it goes right now. Wolf Speed taking out 1560, looking to break through that level of 15 and change. Funware, there's the name that keeps on going. You know, we haven't looked at DJT in a minute there. As again, I'm sidetracked because of, you know, Apple, but I don't need to be, so that's why I'm looking right now. We're getting out of Apple more and more. We just emptied out a bunch there at 234. So happy with that return there. $1 on Apple today and into a red market. We'll take it, especially when it's been weaker. Ethereum right now, downside. I mean, there's no surprise there. We talked about the Ethereum grayscale and what that means. And over the last little while, there it is right here, $2.40. Small little name there. Grab is up, fun. DJT we have right here at 36.50. Rocket Lab, Mara right there as well at 18.30. So that's trying to bounce around. We're looking at this chart right here with Mara. Just hit that 1850 level. We were looking at 19 as a possible area there for Mara, but not much happening there. Microsoft, this is a big one, man, up 2% today, and this is what it looks like on a 5-minute chart. No retracements at all, really, for Microsoft as that keeps on hitting higher. PDD, I just saw right there, I'm going to call this up right now. PDD was a big mover. I just saw up 6%. Yeah, right now, big move up there for PDD, possibly for FXI and whatnot as well. So there's a little look at a couple names there. Again, this is the hot list looking at volume rate. I'd have no idea why ADLFU is here. But right now it's trying to tell us that NVIDIA trying to break through that 154 is something to look at. So we'll call up NVIDIA.
Well, maybe next week.
154,
no, I'm joking.
Yeah, 144 right now. 154 next week. Yeah. All right, so we'll have a quick look. There's the bounce off VWAP, and I mean, it's really funny that someone would write down, yo, what's up? Is this Ozan here tweeting this at me right here? Moo, what's up, Ozan? I know that's not you. This is Ozan. Hey, what's up, Ozan? I didn't recognize your profile there. Shout out to you too. But there it goes right here. NVIDIA, stay long, keep it simple, act off VWAP. All right, there's NVIDIA right here. There's VWAP. There's VWAP again. This would have had to hold it about 50 cents. I don't think we would have done that. We probably would have punched out. So that would have been an L right there on NVIDIA. But right now we're trying to hold it again. I'm not that excited about this play. So I'm not going to take it, even though I'm mentioning it right now. But there's VWAP right there. If you are looking to do something, I'm short the market now. With the NASDAQ. So we're actually 20 handles right now in the money and hoping to get lower. Did we get, we got that 56 fill? Oh, bang, right there. I'm wondering why, that's not a bang. I'm wondering why, that's a bang. I was wondering why we were a little bit lighter on that, and I just thought I was scalping out of it, but we did get that fill down there at the 50 period. So right there, that was 35 handles right there on the NASDAQ, as there was right there on the futures, as it just touched down at the 50 period moving average. So that's a big trade. It's nice to see that when Apple's trying to hold out higher. Look at all of these outs right here. And again, this is the benefit for me anyways. Let it settle down. If we get a feel, we have enough shares left on board that we can still continue to scalp this out. So here we go with Apple. It feels good to be holding that 7% and it can still put damage on the board. So it's been a big difference for me there. Good outs a little bit there on the futures. Sofi, by the way.
Oh, unrelated to crypto, but it's worth noting Microsoft still strong here, up over 2%. We also have some news in the crypto space. Stripe, which is a fintech company, acquiring this crypto stablecoin platform called Bridge for $1.1 billion. Bridge has already raised $54 million in U.S. funding and is actually founded by two people who were involved in the founding of Coinbase. So two COIN founders now actually founding this Bridge, which has been acquired by Stripe for $1.1 billion. Now, Bitcoin, actually interesting pattern here for that daily chart. Even though we have not, as of yet, broken that 70,000 level, we have a bit of a double bottom around that 54,000. And now we're breaking that pattern of lower highs, trying to make some higher highs and higher lows. So interestingly for BTC, basically, just because we haven't broken 70,000 doesn't mean there isn't more to go for Bitcoin as of right now against the USD. Ethereum a little bit weaker, though, than Bitcoin today. As of the morning, I believe we were trading around 26.30 before 8 a.m. Now we're 26.20, so gradually bleeding, still down about 2%. Solana up about 2% here. USDC flat. Tron up about 1.5%, but generally lots of weakness. We've got BNB down about 2/3%. Ripple down 2%. Dogecoin about 1% to the downside. So not massive moves on either side. Generally a little bit weaker than we are stronger today, guys.
All right, so I was just talking about that. Thank you for that, Adara. Look at SoFi right now. I mean, back to 51s. Unbelievable that we make the low of the day. That happens once a day to me. So there you go, Sofi back in there. Look, man, it's still going to be a easy day here for this. But again, that's all Apple. So like the NASDAQ, we're just back to flattish on that as it's trying to go back higher right now on that one. And then Sofi, we will be red on right now because we took the full hit there. It was a full position. We didn't average in more than that. But at the end of the day, we only bought back a third. So we'll lose 13 cents there on the full and then make right now 10 cents. And we still have more than half of this position left on the rest. So if this can get back to like 58, 59, maybe potentially a different story, but you got to trade them each their own. So we'll wait on that one. There on Sofi, I see that you still have your Apple and some Nvidia there.
Yeah, just Nvidia off of VWAP. Now it wasn't VWAP per se, it was the higher lows that it put in. Higher lows into a flat top, higher lows and higher highs. So it bounced off VWAP here, got on the way back up with the stop underneath 30. It played back to this little support spot. So there's your top end. And when you tested the high, this support was like 143.80 or so. So it goes to that mark and it's now starting to consolidate. So a couple of things, like if it breaks back out the top, I think hold into the high of the day. If we lose 30, got to back off and wait for, support's at 142. So essentially going to stop it out here. It'll still be up because we did get profit, but I think at that point you're reversing back into the low. So there we go. No a second entry. You're underneath that trend line, so it's not an ad for me because you were underneath the trend. That was the reason why I like the long. So it's got established back above VWAP to set something else up in there. We took our shot in Nvidia. It was on platform. And if it works from here, we're just going to find a different place or different mechanism to get long. So VWAP hold initially was more about it holding those higher lows, and then we'll work on to the next. I actually just saw Bitcoin. I keep saying Bitcoin, but I'm watching IBIT specifically. Just did a nice bounce off of VWAP itself. But it's a bit of no man's land. It's 10:30. I want to see us hold, maybe give some consolidation entries instead of just, like the falling knife types of entries there. And back to, if you look at Funware is almost all the way back into VWAP now. So I think your chance at the retracement when Bitcoin turn around, that's not Bitcoin, when DJT turn around, that's probably come and gone here. The next play would be, can it actually hold this 11 level, which is not nothing. VWAP also corresponds with this prior high on Funware. So this 11 level is a pretty key level on the daily chart as well to look back into. So just going to be patient in terms of finding another place to get into Nvidia and Funware. Trying to go to VWAP, I'd like to let it go all the way down there and test 11. I got to make sure that DJT isn't exactly falling like a knife, because if it is, I don't want any part of this bounce. Let's go to Adara.
We have PDD here up about 7%. I am seeing an SEC filing showing that BlackRock now has a 9.5% stake in the company. Based on the wording of this filing, I'm not sure if they just acquired this or if this is now what, they added more and they now have a 9.5% stake. Either way, they apparently, as of this filing, yesterday after the close, they have a 132 million share stake valued around $17 billion for PDD held by BlackRock. This I haven't found many places. I found part of the filing here on Moomoo, and I also found some people speculating on Twitter about this. So again, I still looking for full confirmation. I did find the filing, or part of the filing anyway, but PDD here 7% with this, what looks like a BlackRock getting 132 million shares, 9.5% stake, guys.
All right.
Yeah, thank you, Adara. There needed to be something going on with that, because otherwise, okay, well now Baba's breaking the high, but it was up 7% on PDD, and at the time Baba was doing okay, but up like half a point. So I would have been at least a little bit concerned as to why Baba wouldn't be showing that kind of strength when PDD is absolutely flying. Alibaba, for the record, holds that $100 level. And sometimes levels are obvious, like $100 on a stock, like in Alibaba, it's going to stand out there. But if you want to find the best trading opportunities, the right stock levels, the right trading strategies, you're going to want to be able to step your game up with a platform that's going to be able to help you. And that's what eSignal is all about. The ability to trade smarter, not harder. So upgrade to an elite trading experience where you're able to capitalize on all of the market data that you could possibly want at your fingertips with instant trading. Like every single symbol out there in the markets and all the ETFs and all the futures that you could look for. The ability to put and chart any indicator that you want, not only do that, but then go ahead and back test any trading strategies that you would get off of those signals and those indicators. Be able to forward test those strategies as well to make sure that the plan you develop doesn't just work in the past, it can work in the future, and then you can put it live. So that real-time data is important. The other thing, you've got API access, so if you want to code things for automated trading or some fantastic like multi-moving average setup that you want to make up out of thin air, you can use the API for that as well with eSignal. It's all about that real-time data, accurate, every single market, every single stock that you could look for, and everything you need in all one place. So if you're interested in stepping up your game and finding those great trading opportunities and trade signals, then scan the QR code that you see right in front of you or below and check out the link in the description and take a test drive risk-free for 30 days over there on eSignal. Shout out to them. And I showed you guys Alibaba in here bouncing. I did want to go back over to Apple. In the great context, I mean, Apple's daily chart looks fantastic. You guys see it going off of those highs. It's still holding on to VWAP, but a bit of a rounded top here. What I'd love here is, see this test of VWAP that failed? It was right, well, it didn't really fail. It actually bounced back, but 233.45 to 50. If it can hold on to this, maybe fail to make a fresh low back into that 233, it hasn't really established itself yet that I want it above VWAP. But I think waiting for 233 here, if it loses this support, then I want to be able to jump out of it. IBIT doesn't seem like it wants to go back into VWAP again. And Nvidia, the update. So it did eventually bounce, but it's right back. So yeah, you hold on to it, it bounces, but it's right back underneath that 143.30. So I don't want to necessarily chase this one or fight it. It looks like they're in a bit of a reversal here on Nvidia. It gave us that trend upside. And if it breaks the trend, then I got to look elsewhere for some weakness. And I don't think the weakness is necessarily in Nvidia. Like, what's weak is AMD. But what is dead may now rise. AMD bouncing off VWAP. This isn't a random level. 154 is a key over-under for AMD because it's a 50 period on the daily. So holding that 50 period again and breaking it back out, this is what happened when it held it yesterday. So I just play an over-under game on this. If it's going to hold the 154, let's see it establish some kind of a trend up with higher lows off to 54. I think this is a nice level on that daily. You had to wait for it to get there. There obviously was never a 158.50 breakout, which we'll have to wait.
TQs, we got some more out there. The futures aren't doing anything up here, so we'll just sort of scalp it out. We could talk about that in a minute, but it's not doing anything. Good trades there. We'll go bang on Sofi. Look, I mean, we got stopped out, but at least we sort of put it back on there and took a few more shares and got some out there at 52s. Again, we did not get those 53s or 54s. Hit the like and the subscribe, of course. As we go, a name that's been sort of, all right, so here on a second, just to show you this. Now you're falling back in again. See, we're taking more out here. It's come back into the 50-period moving average. I am bidding some 60s and then lower. So I'd like to, you know what? Okay, we'll just put another out right here again, see if we can get this. I mean, it's been a good trade. Would like to see it get a little bit better, but hopefully the TQs will give us at least a fill here on this level, and then we'll work from there. So let's see a little bit of a downside push there. We'll get some more out. We've been getting out of Apple. Let's go on to another name. I wanted to look at DraftKings. We did think about the short up here in and around 37.50, which would have made sense. There's the 50-period moving average there. Big slope to the downside. We like the stock short. I just don't know if it's giving it to us yet. So we'll have to wait. I mean, it's not much volume here. You can see it's pretty died off. I mean, I'd like to see a little bit more action before we go on that one. So yeah, so far so good though here. And we're gonna go over to the big desk or the screen with Adara.
Lots of red in a lot of sectors, notably here. We have electronic technology right across the board. Apple down, Broadcom down, AMD down, Nvidia a little bit flat here, but it's worth noting one area of weakness here is going to be these defense stocks. LMT and RTX both reported this morning. Both to the downside, though LMT definitely underperforming RTX. Finance pretty red, health technology pretty red, producer manufacturing pretty weak here, as well as commercial services. Consumer durables, though GM pretty strong after earnings. Health services, utilities, retail trade a bit more mixed here. We actually have some strength, though, in consumer non-durables. PM, another earnings play. This one sharply to the upside right off the open, about 7%. So Philip Morris, a good look here. And, of course, we do have to talk about technology services because when compared to the electronic technology sectors, there's a lot more strength specifically in these Mag 7 names. Microsoft, crazy look here, up more than 2% on no strong catalyst that I could find, but its mix of peers in this space, Google and Meta, also to the upside, as is ORCL. So pretty mixed picture, but some strength in mega tech and the communication side of things, guys.
Yeah, that big tech holding everything to the upside as we are, the NASDAQ's still trying to go green. The ES is doing its best. Amazon doesn't seem to want to pull back into VWAP. Amazon holding that 187. Look, this time it was 187. Every other wick, each morning it was getting underneath the 187 for an entry, except for today. Sometimes that pattern maybe gets a little bit too obvious and everybody wants to get out in front of it. So that's what happened here in Amazon. I think pulling back into prior close is going to be a key one. Well, if the over-under is that 50 period at 1 on AMD at that 154, it's doing its best to try to hold on to this. And it's got a slight little trend here. But if it loses the bid and gets underneath 153.8, you can't have an over-under without being willing to play in the other direction. Down 2 points on AMD. I still like the fact that it's trying to do a consolidation long. There hasn't really been a green candle yet since it broke above VWAP. If it can do that, I'd look for a recovery play on AMD. I want to get back over to Fun. It does seem like it's bouncing before it gets to VWAP in here. That $11 level is just a round number, and VWAP is just a line on the chart. But that's a bigger story. DJT right back into those highs. So it looks like with DJT going, Funware is going to make another run. If DJT fails the top, I want to short Funware off of its high of the day if there's a false breakout of DJT. Funware, we don't have to pay for any locates, and you can try to let DJT do the futures leading of Funware trading, which is what I like to do. Be able to play that sympathy play instead.
Futures going to the downside right now. What's up, Ron Miller? Yeah, we're doing good, man. We're doing good. This is I really enjoy this kind of market and this kind of trading here, where we're long Apple 232.65. That's $1 and change in the money right now on the biggest position, maybe all week here. So that was a good one. And then now the futures, as we sit here, we watch. I mean, we're not going to be like Kyle Burdett here and like hope for, the whole market to absolutely burn. But if it does go down, we're here for it. And there it is, Neil. Another 42 handles right there on the future. Shout out to all the real traders that are there watching right now. We'll see if we can get this one even lower right here for that. Sofi, it's been pretty good too, because Sofi is just holding out hope for upside as well. So we'll just keep on getting this out. We've already, talked about this trade and how we went the wrong way with it and got stopped out at the bottom right there. But we need to have a bottom at some point, and that looks like we might have done that exactly right there for Sofi. So again, not too many names today, just 3 names for myself, plus the biggest one right here, as it is the #1 trade here from the sticky note. I am not into Nvidia, and I know we haven't really done too much there either today. So 140.50 would be the level for me on Nvidia, but we do have Adara rate okay, hold on a second before we go to Adara right now. Look what's happening to the futures, man. Money Mitch was in the building, and Money Futures right now pouring in right now on the futures. So there it goes, man. Hopefully we get another little bit of a dip down opportunity there on the futures. You hit that. I looked over and Randy was there. All right, so we did not get that 44. Let's get a 52, which we get right there. And now let's go over to Adara.
This part of the show is brought to you by Firefly Neuroscience. Firefly Neuroscience has taken a bold step in advancing brain health technology in collaboration with Bright Minds Biosciences. Firefly's innovative AI-powered platform has successfully analyzed data from a groundbreaking phase 1 clinical trial using advanced EEG technology to track brain activity. This data unlocks new potential in treating neurological and mental disorders, reinforcing Firefly's position at the forefront of brain health innovation. As they prepare for phase 2, this partnership signals exciting developments for the future of neuropsychiatric treatments. Firefly Neuroscience, shaping the future of brain health.
Thank you so much there, Adara, for that. And I just saw, as the futures made another fresh low in there, General Motors, GE Aerospace, I should say, is almost 10% down. So it's not often that you get a name this big that'll go SSR or short sell restricted. But when you pop out the daily chart, which is exactly what we're looking at, have a look at 175. Generally speaking, I like an SSR bounce, ideally at a level that matters. But 175 is already a big level. I have 174.81 as the point at which this stock is 10% to the downside. So it's still got a little bit to go, maybe another $1. If this goes SSR, I'm looking for one of those short sell restriction bounces. Bleeding to the downside is GE and continuing to flush. And so as we said, fortunately this morning has been one of those ones where you kind of just wait patiently for your entry and then like win, lose, or draw. Like we're making the right executions, get in where it makes sense to, get out when it doesn't look like it's going to hold. Apple is threatening to lose this support here. I've now moved my stop from like this entry back at the 23 on the bounce. I've moved it. If we lose 233.40, I want to jump out of this and then wait for that low to be able to get back in. And it's been the tale of, I mean, some things have been strong, some things have been weak, but I look overall at the only thing that was in my plan of trade that I haven't, and oddly enough, it was the metals. So silver doesn't quite get to the level I liked. Basically, I was just looking for the 31 even level, which was a round number. It should have just been right back into the prior high. So SLV bounces off the prior high to continue its breakout the last couple of sessions and right back into VWAP. So this is still very much trend up here with silver. And I want to make sure that we're getting, this is the only thing I liked. I liked it into prior highs, but sometimes you pick a round number instead of the actual prior high, which was 31.20. So about to break out from VWAP in here. I'd look for this if a trend breaks, play off low. If it can hold VWAP, look for it to make a fresh high, confirm it's going to hold off of VWAP in here. So just going to stay patient. Thankfully, we haven't had a misstep yet, but I don't want to make one just because it's, setting up. It's 10:50, so we're either in it or not. And at this point, it's already been a solid morning here. I haven't taken any of the big hits. And GM's not setting up for another replay into VWAP either. So that one's going to hold out its highs, and we're just going to wait for it.
All right, yeah. I mean, if we're having good mornings, then we are having a great morning for me on this side, just compared to, like Neil said, we haven't done anything dramatic other than, like I mentioned, it's good to put on the big, it's like when your big idea is the big trade, that's what's really nice, and that's how you can sort of combine everything. Sofi was our only hit today, so, and I'm fine with it. It will matter. We'll be down on SoFi about a quarter maybe of what we made on Apple. So we did take, a hit there, but at the end of the day, this Apple trade's still not done. We're just getting some more out on the top here. I know it looks ridiculous, but that is what it looks like right there. And then look at these outs on SoFi. That right there, we are on the TQs. That was 60 and change handles right there. So if you're trading the futures, good job there. And we talked about why we liked it. We're not just a guy wearing a trade the pool hat. We're a trader, and we talked about 20,500 right there coming through again. So, some talk, some do. Hopefully we're doing both right here for you. So there it goes. NASDAQ still down a quarter of a point. All right, I think we have something called Money Talks, and it's with Adara at the desk.
DXY trying to continue what it started yesterday with that bullish engulfing candle on the daily chart, with that support at 103.50. Smaller move up today, definitely nothing compared to that big move yesterday, but holding on as of right now above the 104 area. Next potential resistance on this daily could be that 104.60 level, but again, continued great move up here. And really, we only started at the end of this month, or end of last month, sorry. So Monday, September 30th, that first big candles to the upside. Now, again, near end of October, and beautiful uptrend from that 100 level hold. Really late day for economic data. We did get at 10 a.m. comments from Feds Harker, though Feds Harker did not, these were prepared comments, and they did not mention the U.S. economy or the economic outlook or Fed rates. So Feds Harker, nothing there. We did also at 10 a.m. get the Richmond Fed Composite Index. It didn't move the market much, but it's worth noting it was actually higher than expected, -14 versus the forecasted -17. And the previous print of -21, so higher than expected Richmond Fed Index. That's the only economic data today, though. Very light days. We can see if this beautiful DXY uptrend ends up getting any continuation, guys.
All right, still no lunch menu. So when we get that, we will hit that up to you. I was talking with some friends yesterday at hockey, and the guy was telling me that he works at Amazon and he gets all these great meals and everything like that. And I was like, yeah, we got that right there. So shout out to Trader TV Live as we have catered lunch. We normally give that to you every single day. The breakfast is looking much better. You got your eggs there today, Sharif? Sharif got those. Today was like an egg quiche kind of thing there today. So that was well done by Sharif by picking up some of those. And then, there's the croissants and some of the pastries and things like that, trying to stay away.
I have to admit, I have been
from all of that.
I haven't had a single one of the breakfast pastries since I made a promise to myself that since the injury, I'm not going to be working out. I'm not going to be moving around as much. I'm not going to have the morning pastries because I don't want to indulge. And then once I'm actually back to working out, I'm going to get right back on it. And they've stepped up the pastry. It's not easy. The cookies are better. I've seen some brownies in there. They got this little donut thing in there. They get what looks like a scone one day. It takes some discipline to walk past it every single day and not want to have something. I still eat it for it if someone wants to give it to me. But just a couple of quick little things in here. Amazon, I wanted VWAP, but Amazon doesn't care about VWAP on that retrace. It broke support. Of course. Like after I say all of that, Ramin comes right away with these Galaxy Jewels assorted chocolates, which look delicious. Oh my goodness. I'm just going to leave that right here. Maybe just which one's the best one? You got to tell me which one's the best one. Amazon going back in, but we're not going to get VWAP on Amazon is all I was trying to say there. You're going to have to look for another entry plan to get into the long on Amazon. Looking pretty good. And then GE doesn't really care about 10% apparently. GE Aerospace deciding to bounce off 176. It never actually got to SSR, down 10%. Close, but no cigar for GE. Still trend down, still plenty of time for it to get to that level to look for a bit of a bounce play. But these, I'm sure they're absolutely delicious, but without some kind of a guide, I have no idea what any of them are. It doesn't matter. I don't know. Purple's always good. Red? She said red. All right. Ram says red. I'll try red.
All right. Thank you, Ram. Okay. 234.05 right now for Apple. Apple really starting to go here. And we just got the 50 period, or the 200 period moving average right into there. So we'll continue to put up some numbers here for you guys today. Sofi, Apple, and the NASDAQ. But look what just happened to the NASDAQ, man. Right back up there into the 50 period moving average. Now you got a complete bounce there off VWAP, which was groovy. We took it, so we're all good on that one. But at the same time, it did bounce. So watch out for a possible reload. I'm still up here for reload, but it's going to have to get into this area. Into the highs. I do not want to reload a 50 period moving average. We did great by getting out on the way down. Now let's wait very patient here to reload this trade back up there to the upside. So we'll wait for that one to come in one more time again. So $75 coming through on this one. And there it is, the segment everyone's waiting for. It is What's for Lunch just popped in. All right, today's a really, really good one. So I'm just seeing this now. It is lunchtime here, and it is a club sandwich. So there we go. Club sandwich with roasted pepper, tomato, cheddar cheese, bacon, and fresh basil on a ciabatta bun. So right there with roasted mini potatoes and then the salad on the side. So that is What's for Lunch. But go get your club sandwiches. That's going to be a good one. Those will be well had around here. That is for sure. Apple, I mean, guys, honestly, we won't talk about, P&Ls or anything like that. Just look at the trade. It's a huge move down into 233. We were able to buy that dip, and we bought it with, like I mentioned, probably notionally, it's not even going to be close. It will be the largest position on Trader TV Live probably for the month. And we'll just see if we put on more at some point. But right there, I don't know. We like that dip down in there. It held, and we went for it. So it could have been a bloodbath, but was not there. And coulda, woulda, shoulda. That's the life of a trader. That's why you trade at a prop firm, you're able to put on more shares, use huge amounts of leverage right there, and that's what I do. So we did that on Apple, and it was a profitable one. And we didn't really have any other huge trades there today. The TQs will be flat on that. Again, we got out there. I want to reload it, so we'll say right now. And then Sofi right here, we are going to be down on Sofi. So again, it was the big trade alert, and we gave that to you. I hope everyone was able to capitalize on that one over there. And yeah, big day alert there for Apple. I just hope that everybody else is enjoying the day. And then DJT as well, up to 33 and change right now. We were looking at this. We talked about this as being a good break there. That high break from the pre-market was 32.75. I mean, if you took that, you would have had to hold it, I guess, 40 cents against you before getting eventually 70, 80 cents. Then there's the dip back into the 200 period and a hold. So I think the 200 period is going to be something you're going to want to look at there for DJT. It looks like it held it there at 32.50. We'll see if it takes out that high at 33.60 for DJT. I mean, 100% right. The day trader cut, no risk, no Rari. That's why my boy, who's not here anymore, the other Rari man, Mr. Max, another guy that took on risk here at the office. So I do have respect for Max and Obi. Those guys put on shares. So shout out to those guys.
Shout out to those guys for sure. And there was a question in the chat, what's going on with drug? Nothing. Nothing today. But I don't like, so here's 46. Just going to show you quickly. 46 was a big support that held yesterday. There's 46. It's on the backside. It could hold on to this $40, but if it loses 40 bucks, so there's your support. If it loses 40 bucks, a reasonable gap fill could take this to $22. Like, that's a reasonable fill of the gap in. And that's what we talk about, the risk of these types of names. So if it does make that press down, I think that's the spot you want to look over to. The other name that we're going to try to go over to, if we can, Nvidia does not get down to those lows. With only about 2 minutes to go, or 1.5 minutes to go, 142 is where it held. 142, it's not the closing price. But the reason I was sort of keyed in off that level just had to do with when you have a big move on the imbalances, oftentimes, like, where would it close if it wasn't the imbalance? It was a consolidation here off of 42. It just bounced higher. So you have a bit of a descending pattern. I'd love to see us either get the 42 or still get VWAP. I want to try to preach those patience. And we're looking for a follow-up trade in General Motors, but it's just basically hanging in this same range that we've been sitting in the entire time. There hasn't been a test of the 52 even. It hasn't really broken back out above the 53 level, which is that spot on the daily. So you just have 52.5 starting to hold. That's your support de facto on General Motors. It was really just a breakout trade that's turned into almost a nothing burger. But you know what? If it's going to do a bull flag, one of the things we mentioned in a lesson, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, in a bull flag setup, sometimes you can get this support on the flag, false break it, where it gets underneath that 52.40, immediately retraces, then take the long going into the high with that prior low. So I'll look for that setup on GM if we don't get some kind of a VWAP retracement. Otherwise, we're just going to be holding on to Apple. My trail went from evens for break even to the 40s. Now that we're above, if we break out the pre-market high, I'll move the trail one more time. But I do want to get back into General Motors. And if VWAP doesn't come in, the only other setup would be a false break of this low and then some kind of a higher low to play off of. But it is 11 o'clock, everybody. So we're going to send you guys off to Sharif and Joseph for some island gaps on Learn to Trade. We'll be back at 2 o'clock. See you guys later.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. What is up, beautiful people?